It felt like he was treating them like his own kid, escorting both all the way to the academy, cheering wildly. Nothing big, really, but then this brat who loves meddling couldn't keep quiet. After seeing that scene, he couldn't help but taunt. Hey, isn't O some kind of kindergarten kid needing parents to walk him in like that? Not stopping there, this guy, overestimating himself, tried to teach Anno a lesson. But before he could even make a move, the tiny flame flickering at his fingertip was snuffed out with a breath lighter than a feather. Then N.O. dropped the insult with innocent coldness. Your little flame? Just a weak matchstick to me. Those words stung, and the brat, burning with spite, decided he had to get back at him. But this time, our guy was busy heading to the entrance exam, no time to babysit this pest. With a single flick of his hand, Anno locked the brat's mouth shut so tight he couldn't even twitch. Revenge denied. The brat was left bitter, watching Anno swagger away. Inside, the academy's entrance trials were officially kicking off. In the first round, competitors faced off one-on-one to find the ultimate champion. No victory, no tears on my watch. With a snap, Anno erased his opponent in a blink. Meanwhile, the crowd pieced together what happened, and O had revived Jeff, who had just died, expecting him to feel the agony of death and come to his senses. But Jeff stubbornly refused to surrender, clinging to his delusions. For fools like that, An-O had only one solution: force him to log out repeatedly until he finally admitted defeat, shame burning his pride as if he wore his underwear on his head. Next came the second test measuring magical power through crystals. While everyone else's crystals stayed intact, Anayu shattered into smoke the moment he touched them. With his magic eyes, Misa realized that even though his magic stats read 0, a massive power was hidden deep inside him. After the exams, Ino invited Misa home, knowing his parents were prepping a feast, just waiting for good news to celebrate. Misa wanted to fly there quickly like an astronaut, but Ano took her instead with a lost magic teleportation spell from 2,000 years ago. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at Anan's home. According to his mother, he grew faster than a legendary Heronot, even a month old, yet already passing the Academy's entrance test and bringing his wife home. She was overjoyed. A son better than his father is a blessing, she said, quickly calling in the grandfather to join the celebration. Proud of his talented grandson, the old man beamed with pride. That's my boy. It was like a family reunion, a feast fit for dragons. After full stomachs and warm hearts, En personally escorted Misa home. On the way, they shared everything: the sky, the seas, their deepest thoughts. At last, they shook hands and officially became friends. Just then, a radiant light enveloped them, and the magical walls built by the creation spell rose, signaling an intense battle about to ignite. From the shadows, Jeff stepped forward, followed by Leah, his older brother, who had witnessed his little brother's defeat that morning. A young man humiliated, he came here not just to teach Ano a lesson, but to reclaim his family's honor knot for his younger brother. He even coldly killed Jeff right before Ano's eyes. The Idu clan doesn't tolerate useless bloodlines that disgrace their name in front of thousands. In this world, those not born of the Demon King's pure blood are branded as half-breeds. Of course, they're considered inferior to the pure-blooded heirs of the current Demon King. An-O is seen as a lowly half-blood who dared to defeat Jeff, descended of the Demon King himself. Leo, unable to accept this, wanted to take justice into his own hands. But little did he know, An-Ao was the ancestor he had always revered. Strange, isn't it? When the ancestor steps forward to discipline his descendants, suddenly it's a scandal. Hearing those words from An-O, Seo's anger boiled over. He felt his ancestors were being insulted. He immediately ordered his troops to prepare for battle. But all the secret magic Leo unleashed was crafted by the light itself, making it child's play for An-O to break through effortlessly. To widen Leo's eyes, An-O transformed Jeff's corpse into a limited edition zombie pet just for him. Now, as a living corpse fueled by rage, Jeff's power surged dramatically. Leo thought An-O would let Jeff kill him, but Noha wasn't about that cruel game. Instead, An-O aimed to redeem his brother, hoping they'd join forces. Seeing Jeff's strength, Leo finally understood the situation. But with his arrogant nature, he refused to admit his brother had brought shame to their clan until Jeff, like a hellish demon, advanced on him. That's when fear finally gripped Leo. Trying to call for Repek to calm down, Leo realized he had only one chance-own second of hesitation meant a lifetime of regret. The two brothers immediately clasped hands and prepared for a bitter fight. Watching siblings tear each other apart, the elders looked on with deep disappointment. An-O shook his hand, causing the walls around them to crumble, then used resurrection magic to save the brothers, breathing life back into a broken lineage. Witnessing a monstrous power like Anayu's, the two brothers dared not utter another boast. They only dared to ask his true identity. Anno had long awaited this question. Listen closely. Blind descendants, your ancestor, the tyrannical demon King An-O Bell Gates, has returned, stronger than ever. He recounted the time 2,000 years ago, when heroes sought to kill him to restore peace to humanity. But according to Un'o, if he slaughtered humans, then those heroes were no better having killed countless demons themselves. Even if demons were wiped out, humanity would still face enemies like spirits and gods. To end the endless war between gods, demons, and humans, Un'o proposed an alliance with the heroes to create barriers separating the different races, snuffing out the fires of war to restore the world's peace. Though they would not perish forever, the heroes agreed to be reincarnated after 2,500 years, their memories intact. Un'o's words were persuasive and reasonable, so the heroes trusted him and joined forces. As Un'o channeled his magic to seal the walls, Cannon swiftly pierced through him with a holy sword. Their sacrifice ensured humanity's temporary peace for 2,000 years. As they faded away, Un'o and Cannon exchanged words of gratitude. If they met again after reincarnation, Un'o hoped to become friends with Cannon, the only hero who earned the respect of the ruthless Demon King. So the cycle began again 2,000 years later. At reincarnation, opening his eyes, he saw his grandparents overjoyed at the birth of their first grandson. Before his grandparents could even name him, the newborn took it upon himself to choose his own name, leaving them stunned and speechless. Fast forward 2,000 years to the school's opening day, Misa informed him he was considered an outcast because people misread the name of the ruthless Demon King. Quick-witted, Enno used magic to read Misa's mind and discovered that over 2,000 years, his noble name had been mangled into Avos. What a glaring oversight! Claimed descent from the royal bloodline of the Demon King, yet even their ancestor's name was butchered. Feeling both bitter and exasperated, and Enno's story wasn't over. When the teacher assigned group leaders for an upcoming test, Enno volunteered to lead, but the teacher immediately rejected him. In this world, students wearing white uniforms are always treated unfairly, branded as half-bloods, while only those in red uniforms are pure-blooded and granted equal respect. The teacher insisted that a half-blood like Enno was unfit to be leader, and promptly kicked him out. But Enno proposed a pact. If he could prove himself better than any pure blood, the teacher must accept him as leader. If he lost, he would quietly leave the academy. Easy game. With just a few tweaks, Enno perfected the combat magic circle, doubling its power and earning his teacher's pride. Though reluctant, the teacher had no choice but to grant him leadership. After choosing leaders, the teacher called on each student to introduce themselves. The red team leader confidently declared he was a descendant of the noble Demon King bloodline, named Sasha of the Necrone clan, twin sister of Misa. Despite sharing the same prestigious lineage, Sasha was considered pure blood, while Misa was branded a half-blood. During group selection, most flocked to Sasha's team, leaving only Misa with Un'o. But quality over quantity, right? Un'o was more than capable of handling the challenge. Sasha, with her arrogant streak, couldn't stand it and crossed over to taunt Misa. She sneered, "You're just a walking doll, useless to him. If you're smart, join my team and cooperate." Seeing Sasha's nasty attitude, Anno couldn't hold back. He fired back in defense of Misa, leaving her fuming but unable to retort. Sasha tried to activate her destruction magic eye to teach him a lesson, but within 2 seconds, Anno unleashed a power far stronger, causing her to retreat in frustration. Thinking things were settled, Sasha surprised them by blocking their way on the way out, challenging them again. If she won the team test, Un'o must join her team and obey unconditionally. If she lost, she'd willingly join his team. The stakes were high. The tension palpabilis was more than just a school test. It was a battle for pride, identity, and respect. The clash of bloodlines, the fight for acceptance, and Uryu's journey is far from over. His story isn't just about magic and battles, but about breaking chains and redefining what it means to belong. If you've ever felt like an outcast, a misfit in the world, take a breath and remember, sometimes the fiercest battles forge the brightest spirits. And if you found yourself caught between loyalty and defiance, friendship and rivalry, ask yourself, what would you choose? Forgiveness or revenge? Strength or understanding? This tale is not just a fantasy, it's a mirror, reflecting the struggles within us all. Thanks for joining me on this journey. He's no ordinary lackey, he's a storm in a calm disguise, fearless in the face of challenges. All right, let's seal this pact ink on paper, black and white, no room for doubt. The interclan tournament has arrived, and the two teams must forge their fortress, weaving magical circles to shield their stronghold. Knowing Misa's mastery of creation magic, he doesn't hesitate to entrust her with building the fortress. The rest? Let him handle every detail from A to Z. Across the battlefield, Misa and her comrades are busy raising their fortress, preparing to strike. But just as they lay the foundation, an owl suddenly appears right before them, leaving the entire group breathless. Not stopping there, an owl fires a psychological blow, boldly declaring he can hear every plan they're hatching. Panic ripples through the opposing team. To steady their nerves, some think, no matter how skilled an owl is, he can't fight alone. Yet. The fatal mistake was underestimating him. In a breathtaking display, an owl lifts the entire fortress with one hand, flipping it mid-air like a toy, adding a twisted flair to the chaos. Then, with ruthless precision, he slams the fortress meters away. Not satisfied, he commands from afar, rallying his team to prepare a counterattack on the fortress. But with just a tiny flame in his hand, an owl effortlessly shatters the enemy's missile battery. His silver blaze surges towards the opposing squad, erasing their fortress without hope for rescue. The outcome becomes crystal clear. Zaza, burning with frustration over this humiliating defeat, hears an owl claim he only used his lowest level magic, fueling her fury even more. Defeat stings, but Zaza can't escape her role as an owl's errand girl. When her sister rushes over to check on her, the usual scorn fades, replaced by a tender warmth and evolution in their sisterly bond. That evening, an owl arrives home with another woman by his side, making their parents beam like they'd struck gold. With 2 daughters-in-law like this, no money can buy such fortune. Though no 10 out of 10, he's undeniably a prodigy, truly the sun in their sky. After dinner, an owl personally escorts the 2 sisters home. Along the way, their hands find each other, fingers entwined with newfound closeness. Puzzled, an owl asks, and Misa promises to tell him the story, later dashing into her house first. Before they part, Zaza calls him back, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thanks to Anno and his team, the sisters have mended their rift. As a token of appreciation, she plants a meaningful kiss on his cheek, a comrade's bond, wrapped in surprise. Who wouldn't like a friendship sealed that way? Tomorrow is Zaxar's birthday, and Misa's eager for an owl's advice on the perfect gift. Yet, knowing Zaza, anything she receives just pulls her deeper into obsession. As the two deliberate, Zaza slides over to an owl's side. By our pact, I'm officially your subordinate now, she declares. The teacher announces a special lecture today from the legendary 7th Demon Lorder, figure of immense authority. An owl remembers well. He forged 7 demon lords with his own blood, crafting loyal arms to serve him 2.5 years ago. According to Zaza, even after his sacrifice, these demon lords endured and founded this academy to nurture gifted successors to the Demon King throne. An O's suspicion deepens. If the 7th Demon Lord truly established this school, why is their control so lax? Especially since they should have sensed their master's return by no sign stirs. What mystery lies beneath this silence? Fearing that the outcast, an owl, would stir up trouble during this crucial lesson, the teacher gave a sharp warning telling him to know his place and not to act like the usual reckless bull. But an owl's words blew past like a breeze, unheard. As Ivis entered the hall, he stood tall and raised his 5 fingers, startling both teacher and students alike. Meanwhile, Chim Yen ignored the meaningful stares cast her way. An owl asked Ivis if he recognized his own father. Unfortunately, the old demon's memories had been wiped clean 2,000 years ago. Who would even know who he really was? This revelation couldn't be rushed. An owl urged the teacher to simply start the lesson, promising to negotiate with Ivis later. Seeing an owl's relentless provocations, the teacher hurriedly apologized to the old demon and even threatened to expel an owl on the spot. But to everyone's surprise, Ivis made no move to hold an owl accountable and let the lesson continue. After class, the 2 sides held a secret negotiation. According to Ivis, he only remembered his master's name, Albert. It seemed this Avos truly existed. He was the one who erased the old demon's memories and planted lies about the Demon King's plot to snatch the spotlight. An owl now admitted he was a ruthless Demon King, but couldn't prove his identity, so both he and Ivis needed to investigate further. Today, the group faced the dungeon trial. 2 teams, red and white, had to enter the Demon King's castle labyrinth to find various treasures. The team that returned with the most valuable items would claim victory and get to keep one prize of their choice. The trial began. Everyone swarmed into the maze like bees unleashed. Yet only an owl remained calm, like a weapon cocked and ready. Spotting Zaza in the distance, worry flickered in his eyes as he quietly asked if securing the scepter in the dungeon was the key to defeating the other treasures. Zaza nodded in confirmation. But the dungeon was no easy place to enter. Even the academy's teachers hadn't dared venture inside. How could the Demon King forget every path in his own lair? The roots were etched deep in his memory, could navigate blindfolded. Following an owl's lead, the 3 swept through the dungeon without a single monster blocking their way, as if fate itself cleared their path. Together, they reached the castle's bottom floor, where the scepter awaited. Yet seeing the scepter, an owl's usual lost and desperate demeanor washed over him once more. Both an owl and Misa showed no interest in it. Instead, he led Misa to a room shimmering with golden light pouring from treasures. He told Misa she could pick any gift for Exazar, and he himself gave her a treasure she liked, knowing tomorrow was her birthday. But Misa took nothing for herself. She only chose a fiery phoenix cloak for Zaza. As expected, Zaza immediately loved it and promised to cherish it. To avoid trouble, Zaza went to change clothes in the next room. Misa thanked Anao, saying it was thanks to him she could give such a perfect gift. But when an owl returned to the changing room, he found Misa lying still with a deep knife plunged into her chest. At that moment, Zaza flipped the mask and confessed it had all been a lie. She was only exploiting Misa's and an owl's feelings to snatch the scepter and win the trial. Misa was gravely wounded and needed immediate healing. Knowing an owl wouldn't abandon her, Zaza urged him to act fast before it was too late, and they'd be left picking up their fallen comrade's remains. As she spoke, Zaza broke their pact and tried to escape, but an owl, having long suspected her schemes, quickly grabbed her by the ankle, pulling her back. At the same time, Zaza returned unharmed, stepping out without a scratch. From the moment he caught the fiery gleam in Zaza's upon receiving the cloak, an owl suspected her dark intentions. The seemingly lifeless Misa was an illusion he had created all along. Trying to outsmart the Demon King? Don't forget, I'm part of your world too. Those petty tricks won't cut it against me, he thought with a smirk. Despite being treated like trash by his own sister over and over, Misa bore no grudge. She pleaded desperately for an owl to spare Zaza. An owl had planned to interrogate Zaza to uncover her true motives, but Misa's heartfelt pleas softened his heart. He spared Zaza this time. Though released, Zaza continued to insult Misa cruelly before clutching the scepter and fleeing without looking back. She was surely tormented by guilt over her sister's mercy, yet her stubborn nature refused to admit her wrongdoings. Later, when alone with Misa, an owl asked why she pleaded so fiercely for her cruel sister. Misa revealed a secret of her own one she'd never shared before. On the 15th, her birthday tomorrow, she would vanish from this world forever. From the start, Misa had never truly existed. Vis had split her soul from Zaza's using a fusion spell, intending to forge a powerful demon by merging their essences. Destiny had set Zaza to remain while Misa was doomed to disappear. For 15 years, she had tried to create beautiful memories, but being considered non-existent, no demon would speak to her. Only an owl had accepted her friendship. Hearing Misa's resigned acceptance of her fate struck an owl deep in his heart. Suddenly he embraced her tightly, vowing to grant one more wish, to reconcile with her sister Xagza before she vanished. Without delay, the two set off in pursuit of Zaza, who was leaving the castle. Facing their sometimes warm, sometimes cold Misa sought the truth. Did Zaza truly hate her as she claimed? Zaza dodged the question, her impulsive nature leading her to propose a pact. Zaza challenged Danao. If he could activate one of the two magic circles she created, victory would be his. After sealing the deal, the two magic circles, Jessica and Den, appeared amid a dizzying display of dance and light. An owl was told all he had to do was activate a circle. Seeing the scene, an owl immediately understood the trick. There was no real wager. Zaza had planned to gift him the win from the start. Stepping forward, an owl gently cast his magic and activated Jessica. Overjoyed, Zaza finally admitted the truth when Misa asked if she really hated her. Standing together inside the magic circle, Zaza confessed that though she often spat venomous words, deep down she treasured her little sister more than anyone else. This bittersweet revelation, so full of love, hidden beneath cruelty, touched an owl's soul. He held Misa close, promising to make her last moments meaningful. Sometimes, he reflected, the harshest words hide the deepest bonds. If you've ever felt torn between love and pain, remember, even broken hearts can beat together in harmony. With the fragile peace between sisters restored, the trio faced the uncertain future where the line between friend and foe blurred, where sacrifice meant survival. As the dungeon's shadows loomed, their story became not just a trial of strength, but a test of forgiveness and hope. And if ever you find yourself lost in your own labyrinth of doubt, remember an owl, Misa, and Zaza, their struggles, their secrets, their unbreakable bonds. For in every shattered soul lies the chance to heal, to fight, and to love. Thanks for sharing this emotional journey with me. Until next time, keep your hearts open, because sometimes the greatest magic is found in the courage to forgive. Born with a destructive demon eye, a curse no one dared to face since childhood, only Misa stood fearless, always smiling and staying by her side. Thanks to Misa, she finally stepped outside the shadows. But existence itself was a struggle. Misa was forever isolated. Even her own family barred her from playing with others. Her sister couldn't accept the disappearance of her sibling, pushing herself to master magic relentlessly, desperate to find a way to fix this tragic fate. After countless years of hardship, she finally found a solution. She resolved to give her remaining life to her sister. The unification circle of origins held the key, but to activate it, Misa had to renounce her elder sister. That's why she went to extreme lengths, provoking Misa's hatred with every ounce of her power. With her magic, activating the two circles, Jessie and Den, was impossible until now. Use helped her trigger Jesus' circle, and the ritual began. She unleashed bitter words and scorn beneath the burning sky, hoping Misa would hate her utterly. Yet, as the formation activated, it was swiftly nullified because no matter what, Misa never truly rejected her. Misa didn't understand the lies, but in her heart, this sister was irreplaceable. The plan crumbled completely. Zaza broke down in tears, pleading with an owl to save her innocent sister. Faced with an impossible choice, an owl confidently declared he would save them both. His plan? Reverse time itself, defy fate, and rewrite destiny. He aimed to send them back 15 years, merging the current origin with the newborn origin. No one knew what would happen to the four origins, but this could mean neither sister would vanish ever again. However, Zaza knew only the original Demon King could pull off such a cosmic feat. That's where an owl stepped in, claiming the title of the true progenitor. He urged his siblings to trust his scheme, certain of success with no room for error. Just as he began to activate the ritual, Iviet suddenly pierced his chest with a sword. Sure enough, Iviet had come to stop an owl from saving the sisters. His plan was to use their combined bodies as vessels for the Demon King's resurrection. It seemed Iviet was now fully controlled by Outpost, but an owl had no time to argue with a weakling who dared challenge him. Apparently, Iviet severely underestimated an owl's power. With a single strike, an owl sent him flying several meters. Time was running out, and an owl began the ritual to send the two girls back into the past. But halfway through, the time god intervened, blocking them for tampering with time-violated divine law. To stop an owl's plan, the time god lent Iviet his power. With the time god's strength, Iviet became confident he could kill an owl. He relentlessly attacked the magical barrier an owl had created. When the barrier shattered, Iviet drove his sword straight into an owl's heart, convinced this fatal blow would shatter his soul. He even wore the triumphant smirk of a victor, but his joy was short-lived. In a flash, an owl appeared behind Iviet, leaving him stunned and shocked. His origin wasn't so easily destroyed. Refusing to give in, Iviet chanted a spell to freeze time, but little did he know, old tricks like that had no hold over a true progenitor. Fighting within the Demon King's castle, an owl effortlessly summoned his demonic sword, ready for the final showdown. With his demonic sword, an owl cut through the wind like a soaring kite, decisively ending Ifrit's game with a single fateful strike. That very logout awakened the old Ivy within him. It seems the origin of Ivy was fused with Avos's essence, but now Avos's core has been absorbed by Ivy and faded away. Naturally, Ivy's old subordinates have returned, pledging loyalty once more. Surely when Avos struck Ivy, the 6 remaining demon elders were also subdued. An owl ordered Ivy to quietly investigate any trouble among them, and to call for backup if needed. Meanwhile, in the past, Misa and Sasha successfully merged their origins thanks to their ancestors' intervention, resolving their conflict without any sacrifice. Happily, they were separated into 2 independent beings, no longer dependent on each other. Both sisters deeply thanked Anao. With everything settled, the trio swiftly grasped the scepter to claim the full score. Just as the sun rose heralding a new day, an owl turned to congratulate the 2 lovely sisters, wishing them a happy birthday and urging them to grow strong. Gifts had already been handed out at a distance, except for Misa, who hadn't received anything yet. Though Misa didn't want anything inside the castle, an owl felt the ice lotus leaf ring fit her perfectly. Receiving such a precious birthday gift, Misa sincerely thanked Anor because after everything, it was thanks to him that the sisters could smile together today. 2,000 years ago, a fierce battle raged between the demon tribe and the Great Spirit. Back then, an owl's top subordinate, Shin, tamed the Great Spirit with unparalleled swordsmanship, truly a reliable right hand that never disappointed. An owl asked Shin if he desired any reward, promising to grant whatever he wished. Shin earnestly asked to be allowed to reincarnate even if his origin couldn't preserve his memories, and he had to relearn swordsmanship from scratch. He refused to accept a world without the Demon Lord. Ultimately, bowed by Shin's determination, an owl agreed to his request. Back to the present, the teacher walked into class with 2 pieces of news neither good. First, a new student was transferring in, which was no big deal, except the teacher warned the half-bloods to behave respectfully, as this newcomer was from the royal family and possessed the city's top swordsmanship talent. The second news was worse. The scepter had been stolen before appraisal. So the teacher decided to temporarily award their group 70% of the maximum points until the scepter was found. Hearing this, Zaza's blood boiled. How could their group lose points because the school failed to protect the scepter? On the other side, a girl stood up demanding justice for his group, but the teacher remained adamant. Some mouthy students even mocked them, implying maybe Zaza's group stole the scepter themselves because they feared being exposed as frauds. Unable to bear the insult, an owl calmly approached the troublemaker and pulled the scepter from his possession. An owl already knew the truth and was just waiting to see what tricks they'd try next. The world is full of wolves. When the tiger doesn't roar, they think it's Hello Kitty. Just then, the girl who demanded justice ran over and introduced herself as Mina, a member of the Unified Party, led by the 7 demon elders Bolan. In the unified party, there was no discrimination between purebloods and half-bloods. Equality reigned. They all believed in Anao as the fierce demon lord, the ruthless founder of the demon tribe. Mina invited the whole group to tour the unified party's headquarters, a gathering place for an Ao's devoted fans. Just breathing the same air as him made these girls swoon uncontrollably. Besides their obsessive devotion, the people here worked tirelessly, believing that with enough effort, half-bloods and purebloods could one day become friends and walk together even if it meant begging on the streets side by side. The next day, everyone had a training session with the 7 demon elders, who tasked them with pulling forbidden swords embedded in the ground. The first 2 to succeed would earn slots to learn swordsmanship directly from the elders. Everyone struggled to pull out the sword 7. Zaza was stumped, as the more she tried, the more her demonic energy was drained. An Ao approached and teased, challenged by Zaza to try. He revealed that in this world, only the hero cannon sword was impossible for him to draw. These rusty swords were a blink's work to pull out. At that moment, a student managed to pull out a different sword. Then, when one of the 7 demon elders tried to test himself, that student knocked him out cold no mercy. The last demon elder turned to an Ao for a finishing move. After their combined strike, the 2 elders locked eyes, flames of rivalry burning fiercely. The standout student was none other than the new transfer with a rare perfect swordsmanship title. Without hesitation, he flat out refused the teacher's offer to be class leader, insisting instead on joining an Ao's team. But an Ao's team wasn't a free-for-all market. He set conditions. If the student could win a slot in the upcoming team selection contest, he was guaranteed a spot. On the day of the inter-team match, the new student teamed with Mina and the girls from the unified party to face off against 3 members of Team Uno. Lei's demeanor wasn't just polite, he showed genuine respect even to half-blood opponents. The girls from the unified party instantly fell head over heels for him. As usual, Misa handled the castle defense, Sasa led the attack, and An Ao went for a one-on-one duel with Lei. To keep things fair, he promised not to use magic, wielding only a dry branch. Borrowing the girls' demonic swords and magic amplified their power, even allowing them to control the fortress to assault Sasa and Misa's position. When the situation reached a critical boiling point, An Ao's advice helped the sisters unite their strength to shatter the fortress wall. Unfortunately, Mila suddenly launched a surprise attack from behind, but Zaza's quick reflexes dodged the ambush just in time. Meanwhile, Lei took a hit from an Ao during their duel's opening. An Ao sensed Lei's swordsmanship was far from ordinary. There was a strange familiarity in Lei's strikes. Back on the battlefield, seeing Zaza struggle, Misa rushed to assist. Without hesitation, they combined Phoenix Cloak and Ice Lotus Leaf techniques to unleash their full power. Thanks to the fusion of ice and fire, they dealt a decisive blow to the girls of the unified party, breaking their fortress and securing a proud victory. As for an Ao, Lei's swordsmanship was clearly no joke. If you've ever felt powerless like these characters, take a moment to breathe and ask yourself, how did I survive my darkest days? Sometimes, strength isn't just about power, it's about the bonds we forge and the courage to stand up when it counts. And if you're lost in life's choices, remember, even the smallest light can guide the way. Thanks for sharing this journey with me. But sadly, fate had already cast the supporting male's role. No matter how strong Lei became, he could never outshine the hero's radiant glow. With a speed like a lightning strike, Yu's swift blade sent Lei's sword flying, merciless and unrelenting. Accepting defeat with a humbled heart, Lei admitted that when facing An-O, it felt as though they had met 2,000 years ago. An-O nodded in agreement, sensing a deep familiarity. Lei resembled someone from his distant past. Offering a hand, Lei helped An-O up. Though Lei lost and couldn't join his team, a genuine friendship blossomed between them. Both welcomed the chance to grow closer. After the meal, An-O invited Lei and Mila to his home, where his parents greeted them warmly, filling the evening with laughter and harmony. Recognizing Mila's fierce determination in battle, An-O agreed to let her and the other girls from the united faction join his team. After dinner, Mila and Lei stepped outside to breathe in the night air, their conversation flowing like before. Lei's gentle words and his refusal to discriminate against mixed bloods only deepened Mila's growing admiration, drawing her further into an inescapable enchantment. The Magic Sword tournament was about to begin, and Emily announced that not only Lei but also Uno had secured spots in the competition. Yet An-O was wary why would the royal faction, who had always disliked his victories, suddenly want him to participate. His instincts whispered of a sinister plot to trap him. At that moment, Mila approached with news. The Dark Demon Elder Bolan, leader of the united faction, wanted to meet him. Seeing An-O, Bolan's emotions overwhelmed him. Tears streamed down as he knelt before the Demon Lord after 2,000 years apart. Bolan apologized for his late arrival, explaining he had been attacked and had his memories wiped of the cruel Demon Lord from 2 millennia ago. When the Demon Lord sacrificed himself to save humanity, Bolin woke up lost in the Great Spirit Forest. To regain his power, he chose to train there for 1,000 years. Returning to the demon realm, he found the demon lord's name replaced by Albert, without warning. Regarding the Magic Sword tournament, Bolan advised Anno to stay away to state the royal faction's scheme to dethrone him. Bolan warned that if Anno didn't join, Albert might appear in the battle. Anno promised to carefully consider Bolan's counsel. Soon after, he returned home, greeted by the comforting aroma of his mother's cooking. Misa was busy preparing his favorite dishes, and during dinner his mother revealed that a teacher had just come by to confirm his tournament slotan attempt to pressure him into competing. Though reluctant to join, seeing Mrs. Bolan's eager, hopeful expression made an O unable to refuse. Especially when Misa had gone through so much effort to cook for him, he wanted to repay her kindness. He offered to grant any wish she had. After some thought, Misa asked simply for him to accompany her on a walk tomorrow, since he'd be free. Without hesitation, Anno agreed. And so, their date unfolded as planned. They visited a magical model shop that Misa loved, where, as VIP guests, they were welcomed warmly. The night stretched on, weaving a gentle tale of companionship, hope, and quiet promises beneath the stars. The master saw Misa and told her to relax as usual. She led him to the custom model room and used magic to create a cozy family dining table, complete with everyone she cared about tiny meaningful details that warmed her heart. Inspired, Anno crafted a dazzling miniature city. As expected, Misa's face lit up with delight, but before anyone could say a word, Goku seized the moment and pulled out the model. Admiring it, he helped Misa attach it to a ring. Grateful, she promised to treasure this precious gift. Soon after, an owl took her to a cat cafe, a change of scenery where she sipped bubble tea. But beneath the casual vibe, this was where he met Avis to exchange intelligence. Avis revealed that the Unity Party wasn't led by Bolan as believed, but by another hidden hand. Bolan himself seemed suspicious, having escaped Abbott's brainwashing easily. There was also a hidden figure lurking in the hospital founded by Emily's father, but he appeared to be a mere puppet. An owl told Scalovit to dig deeper into Bolan and the Demon Sword tournament. As for the magical hospital, he would handle that personally. He and Misa went to investigate the hospital, which seemed harmless, but a chill ran down his spine when Lai arrived to visit his ailing mother. Lai's demeanor shifted strangely when the tournament was mentioned. He even refused the offer to treat his mother's illness. Before the Demon Sword tournament kicked off, Avis brought news. Bolan was possibly tied to 2 demon elders under Avos's control, and Lai's mother was suffering from a spirit essence illness, confined to the hospital. In the first match, an owl faced last year's champion in a tense one-on-one duel. Initially reluctant to reveal himself, he was moved by his mother's proud cheers and the sweat-soaked efforts of his father who forged his sword. Determined not to disappoint his family and friends, Anno wielded the sword his father crafted with unwavering confidence and stepped onto the arena. The reigning champion unleashed relentless attacks, but with his shrimp-like magic, he couldn't even graze an owl's defenses. With his parents and the Unity Party's girls cheering fiercely above, Anno effortlessly defeated the champion within a minute. The victor's humiliation was palpable, yet he couldn't fathom his defeat. An owl boldly declared that no matter how low others saw him, no one should ever underestimate a sword forged with a father's love. His father, watching from the stands, was moved to tears. The next battle was predictable. Lai's victory was assured, but shock rippled through the crowd when it was announced Lai represented the royal faction. Calmly, Lai confessed to an owl that the royal family promised him vast riches if he joined their ranks nominally. He denied any ties with their former comrades and bitterly regretted his friendships. Worse yet, Lai openly vowed to kill an owl in this tournament. With a swift strike, he slashed an owl's hand, while an owl retaliated, aiming straight for Lai's heart. Yet, this was only a test. The real battlefield awaited the finals. From that blow, an owl discerned a demonic sword binding Lai's body, a contract implanted by the royal family to control him. This pact could unravel Lai's very essence if broken. Perhaps this was why Lai refused an owl's help. Both fighters triumphed in their following matches, advancing to the final showdown. But duty called, and an owl entrusted his demonic sword to his mother for safekeeping. Escorted by the Unity Party's girls, an owl and Miller visited Lai's mother in the hospital. Like Miller, she was half human, half spirit essence. Upon waking, she revealed that the royal family used her to blackmail Lai into allegiance. Knowing Lai endured all this for her sake, she begged an owl to free him from these chains. Saving Lai's mother was the key to breaking his bonds. According to an owl's knowledge of spirit essences, legends must be widely spread to fully dispel this illness. Though Lai's mother forgot crucial parts of the legend, she was showing signs of recovery. For now, her life had to be sustained until the tournament's end. Sharing the same spirit essence bloodline, an owl asked Miller to transfer energy to her, planning to help Miller regain her lost strength afterward. With a powerful formation, Miller began healing. As an owl and the girls escorted the sword, Emily suddenly appeared, fabricating a rule to reclaim weapons from finalists. But from the start, no such rule existed. Anyone could see her trap. She wanted to seize an owl's demonic sword. Defiant, Misa and the others refused to hand it over. Enraged, Emily unleashed lightning to snatch the sword. Emily seethed, furious that her brother, last year's champion, was so easily humiliated by an owl. She believed hybrids were inferior and couldn't accept her brother's disgrace. Unable to win fairly, she resorted to dirty tricks to steal the sword. But fate had other plans. Emily's dark deeds only deepened her own troubles. Despite the girls' fierce defense, Emily's overwhelming magic knocked them down. Not willing to surrender, they summoned their last strength to rise and sing a hymn praising the ruthless Demon King and expressing faith that one day good would triumph over evil. They declared no discrimination between pure blood and hybrid-only equality. Emily, itching with rage at their words, poured all her might into a final strike that brought the girls crashing down. Just as she moved to silence Lai's mother forever, a surge of magic erupted, shattering Emily's lightning attack. As they joyfully escorted the sword, suddenly Emily appeared, lying to the organizers that they needed to reclaim the swords of the finalists. Yet, there was no such rule from the beginning. Just a glance at her was enough to tell that she was laying a trap to seize an Oo's magical sword. Seeing this, our brave Ooh refused to hand over the sword, prompting Emily to reveal her true colors, unleashing a bolt of lightning to claim it. She was filled with rage, especially since her brother, the champion swordsman from last year, had been humiliated by an Ooh so easily. Emily believed that half-bloods were always inferior. An Oo's humiliation of the royal family was something she couldn't tolerate. Unable to win fairly, she resorted to underhanded tactics to steal the pureblood sword, claiming that they were no better. Struck at her core, Emily became even more unsettled. Enraged, she unleashed her magic upon Anu's allies. Despite the girls' valiant efforts to protect Anu's mother, Emily's overwhelming power left them incapacitated on the ground. Yet, even in defeat, the girls summoned their last strength to rise and sing a song praising the tyrannical Demon King, Anu, believing that one day goodness would triumph over evil. There was no discrimination between purebloods and half-bloods, only equality among them. Hearing those words, Emily felt a deep irritation within her. She poured all her strength into a final blow, completely overwhelming our girls after their brave battle. Just as she intended to silence Anu's mother, a surge of magic appeared, shattering her lightning attack. Anu then boldly emerged, sealing Emily's mouth. Next, he used healing magic on his mother and revived the girls. "You've all done enough. Now escort my mother the rest of the way home and rest," he urged. "I'll handle this mutt who doesn't know her place. Justice will be served." He took Emily to the academy's duel arena without any pretense and swiftly plunged his dagger into her. Now, she had only 1 minute to live unless she admitted he was the Demon King. Yet, like a stubborn cat, she refused to plead for mercy, even as the blade sank deeper. Fear finally clouded her eyes as she desperately tried to bargain with Anu for her life, but it was already too late. No second chances would come. Anu mercilessly sent her off to face her fate, but right after, he revived her with lightning speed, proving that her life was forever entwined in a cycle of death and rebirth. Her pride won't let her beg, even as the sword sinks deeper with every moment. Only when fear finally flickers in her eyes does she desperately plead. "Anu, please spare me." But it's too late, there's no second chance. With cold resolve, Anu sends her to a fate worse than death banished, stripped bare before the elders. Yet, right after, Anu resurrects her with the speed of a funeral rite-tilling and reviving her again and again, proving her life is forever trapped in the hands of a bastard like him. This is the bitterest humiliation only a bastard like him could grant such a curse, the power of resurrection. Her death and rebirth reveal the blood coursing through her veins is mixed, a hybrid. For someone like her, who clings to the cruel doctrine of pure blood, this is a living disgrace, worse than death. Emily tries to end her own life once more, but Un-O seals her with a cursed spell. No matter what she does, her wounds will heal. To live forever as a hybrid under his control, that is the harshest punishment, far crueler than death. While Miller tends to the sick in her room, Lei arrives just in time. Mistaking Miller's intentions as a threat to her mother, Lei attacks fiercely, but when she understands Miller's true kindness, her heart softens with gratitude. Yet, unwilling to drain more of her magic, Lei collapses, faint from exhaustion. Her mother, knowing all Lei's suffering, begs him to follow his heart, to do what he truly desires. But how can Lei abandon his mother? Perhaps the life-or-death battle between him and An-O in the finals is inevitable. The final duel begins live, both bound by 2 enchanted rings. If he fights hard, An-O's magic will drain completely. If he wins, the barrier inside him will kill him. It's a perfect trap, ensuring he'll surrender. But they miscalculated. Lei, unwilling to be cornered, breaks his pact with the demon sword himself, even at the risk of death. His mother cheers him on, urging him to trust his heart. At this moment, he feels the truth in her words. He wants no more chains, or threats only the pure battle he's longed for. With steadfast will, Lei faces Unayu's challenge. Fine, forget everything else in this world. Let's fight with all we've got, brother. Without hesitation, they charge into battle at breakneck speed. Spectators watch in breathless awe so fast their swords blur into shadows. Each strike is a dance of life and death, every move laced with peril. Finally, Lei lands a decisive blow, severing Unayu's arm, but he pays a heavy price. Unayu's sword pierces Lei's heart. As the duel ends, An-O is taken by Bolan to a completely new dimension. Bolan, the one who implanted the demon sword pact, sees this as his chance. With Lei's magic drained, his wounded arms still raw, and no allies in sight, Bolan aims to annihilate him. But he's not done. Bolan summons 2 other ancient demon elders to join the fight, turning this battle into a merciless 3-on-1 slaughter. The intensity of this brutal clash leaves no room for mercy. Lei's resolve is tested beyond limits as he faces overwhelming odds. Each strike cuts deeper, not just wounds on the body, but scars on the spirit. In this crucible, the true strength of heart and will is revealed. Will Lei rise from these ashes, or will darkness claim him forever? This epic showdown is more than a fight. It's a test of destiny itself. As the dust settles, the fate of heroes and demons alike hangs in balance. Amidst betrayal, pain, and sacrifice, one truth stands clear sometimes. The fiercest battles are those fought within. If you've ever felt trapped between impossible choices, remember, even the smallest spark of courage can ignite a blazing path forward. Thanks for sharing this journey with me. Bolan, confident in his victory, thought the win was already in his grasp. But he wouldn't let the old man savor the moment for more than 30 seconds. Suddenly, an owl launched a surprise attack, helping the 2 demon elders just arriving to immediately transfer to another reincarnation realm. At the same time, Lei appeared behind an owl with his sword. An owl didn't intend to kill just yet in truth. He was helping Lei break the demonic sword contract bound to him. Faced with this situation, a 1 versus 2 battle, knowing he was at a disadvantage, Bolan cruelly used Lei's mother as a hostage to threaten him. But Lei had already steeled himself for loss. With his mother's sacrifice, he launched an attack, throwing his sword toward Bolan. Seizing the moment while Bolan was distracted, Lei rushed into the space imprisoning his mother, aiming to rescue her. Yet the moment Lei stepped into that dimension, Bolan locked it down. It turned out, Bolan's true intention was to lure Lei into another dimension so that an owl would have to face him alone. Bolan unleashed a wave of black smoke toward an owl, but an owl's sturdy barrier rendered that smoke powerless to penetrate. Instantly, an owl summoned his severed arm to strike at Bolan, but Bolan quickly slipped into yet another dimension. Can't take the fight, so he plays hide and seek? That old bastard. But since only the owner can enter those dimensions, an owl had no choice but to send a message to Lei for backup. He wanted to use Lei's sword techniques for this plan, pouring all his mana into Lei's sword to empower him for battle against Bolan. Yet Bolan's barrier was no joke. Even with an owl's mana and Lei's divine swordsmanship, Lei could not shatter that shield. Just when all seemed lost, Lei's mother suddenly awoke to help her son, willingly lending him the power of the spirit. She transformed into a sword, embodying the fierce love of mother and child. Encouraged by his mother's spirit, Lei charged forward with all his might, slicing through the black smoke surrounding Bolan. Riding this momentum, he shattered the spatial gate, leaving Bolan visibly shaken and terrified. When the spirit sword completed its mission, Lei's mother faded away. Knowing continuing would mean defeat, Bolan tried to escape into a new dimension, but how could an owl let him slip away a second time? As Bolan regained his senses, an owl was already behind him like a fish caught in a net. Bolan desperately tried to create other dimensions, but to an owl, those were child's play. He shattered every spatial gate and summoned the destruction demon sword, severing Bolan's legs. Enough of this cat and mouse game. An owl thrust a fatal blow straight into Bolan's forehead, successfully killing the implanted Avis origin within him, a minion of Avid. Only then did Bolan regain full awareness. It seemed Bolan was also attacked and implanted by a stranger. Fueled by hatred for the Demon King, an owl then controlled the 2 demon elders he had forced to log out earlier, summoning the implanted origins from their bodies and destroying them. Suddenly, inside the arena, the name Avis revealed itself. Within moments, everything was resolved. An owl shattered the barrier surrounding the battlefield, allowing everyone to witness the scene. There lay Lei, motionless and unable to resist. There was no doubt the undefeated champion was an owl. Proudly holding the Sword of 3 Proclamations, an owl declared this victory owed to it. He thanked his father deeply. A man easily moved to tears. An owl's father wept with pride for his extraordinary son. Then an owl used mana magic to revive Lei, relying on the origin power inside Lei's mother, which Miller had healed earlier. Thus, mother and son reunited in a moment, bursting with happiness. The next day, the The class had a new homeroom teacher, Miss Emila had resigned, and Historia took over. No one knew why Emila quit suddenly, except an owl, who understood it was due to the shock of learning she was a hybrid. With a heavy heart, Historia announced an upcoming exchange event between academies. Students would visit the Hero Academy in the human realm for the first time. Everyone was excited, but an owl remained calm, as if it were just another routine. Preparing for the exchange, Historia tested everyone's knowledge distinguishing the human world from the demon world. Having fought in the human realm before, an owl was all too familiar. He began analyzing the differences. In the human world, heroes stand where demon kings would in the demon world. Instead of relying on demonic power for battle, humans use armies. Unlike demons who focus on defense, humans are all about offense. Everything he said was precise and flawless. Later, he secretly met Bolan, who reported that 3 demon elders were still under Avis's control. Bolan hadn't found the right moment to eliminate the implanted origin in those 3. Regarding the exchange event, Bolan warned an owl to stay cautious. There was a special class at the Hero Academy training superheroes for peacetimes without war, yet they were opening a training class. This hinted at a suspicious agenda lurking behind the scenes. After getting the info from Bolan, an owl brought Lei to his mansion castle. Handsome as ever, an owl had everything a prince could want. He let Lei pick any sword for himself. After much deliberation, Lei chose the most striking sword, named First Intent. According to an owl, every slash from that sword must be accompanied by the wielder's heartfelt passion. Without that harmony, it's just a useless iron blade. Seeing Lei's First Intent sword already cut through a created object, an owl was highly pleased. In his past life, only his right-hand man could wield such a sword. This reminded an owl of Shin, his trusted lieutenant, and the clear hint of reincarnation. Lei never hid his feelings because he always sensed he had lived in another world centuries ago. When Lei asked if an R and his lieutenant had promised to meet again after reincarnation, an R suddenly recalled the hero canon. He had 3 demonic souls embedded within him. As for participating in the inter-academy exchange, he warned her to be cautious because, at the Hero Academy, there was a special class that trained superheroes during a time of peace, with no wars. Opening a class for nurturing superheroes certainly hinted at some dubious schemes lurking behind it. After receiving this intel from Bolan, he led her to his beautiful castle. With charm and confidence, he allowed her to choose any sword for herself. After much deliberation, she finally decided on the most outstanding sword there, one that Anu explained required the user's passion with every slash. Without a unification of intent, it would remain merely a blade. The useless iron sword lay in wait, as Lei, the first sword, effortlessly severed the very fabric of his creation. Anu was immensely satisfied. In his past life, only his trusted right-hand man could wield such a blade. The sight of Lei stirred memories within him, a clear implication of the past life they shared. Lei, unfazed, embraced the feeling that he had once lived in another world, centuries ago. But when Lei asked if he and his subordinate had ever promised to meet again after their reincarnation, Anu was suddenly reminded of the hero canon. Doubt crept in like shadows as he questioned who Lei truly was reincarnated from the 2. He recalled the day they participated in the inter-school activity, where the teacher announced everyone must fend for themselves to reach the Hero Academy, no matter the means. Those who failed to show up would face consequences, as everyone knew too well. Back then, it was better to quietly return to the demon realm than to lose face. While brainstorming the best route, Anu, disliking the long detours, decided that with a mere second of teleportation magic, they would stand on the borders. However, he felt a pang of regret for not being able to explore the human world a bit longer. Miller had to deliver messages guiding the girls of the United Faction, so she accompanied him. As they ventured into the bustling market, Lei was enchanted by the tranquility of the human realm. During their stroll, Anu turned on his charm, complimenting Miller, "You're even more beautiful than the sunrise." Despite her blushing cheeks, she secretly delighted in his words. Soon, they arrived at the Hero Academy, and just as Anu intended to sneak inside, he was called back by another girl. She introduced herself as Bianca, a third-year student at the academy, eager to learn more about heroes. He even said her hands were more beautiful than his eyes. Though his words made her blush like a shy flower, she secretly loved it. Soon, the pair arrived at the Hero Academy. When Eno tried to sneak inside to take a look, a girl called out to him. She introduced herself as Bianca, a third-year student at the Hero Academy. Learning they were visiting guests curious about heroes, she eagerly offered to show them around. Inside the library, countless records of heroes from the war era awaited them. Portraits of Cannon, the beloved hero known by all, hung proudly on the walls. Later, Zaza shared a book chronicling Cannon's legendary battle against the tyrannical Demon King. But as Zaza read, anger fled. How dare humans twist the truth and steal the Demon King's credit. Zaza fiercely defended the Demon King's honor, claiming Cannon had brutally slain him and then built walls to save the world. The tension rose, her fiery spirit burning hotter by the moment. Yet, as Zaza prepared to demand justice for the Demon King, Enno gently stopped her. He understood that if history hadn't been so blatantly rewritten, humans back then would never have found peace. Enno asked Zaza if she knew the Demon King's real name, surprised by the answer, for even that had been altered to Avos. Continuing their inquiry, he asked Bianca about the Hero Academy's classes. She openly shared details about the curriculum and Bola's investigation class designed to train heroes for the human world. Intriguingly, the Academy hosted 4 reincarnations of Cannon. Because Cannon possessed 7 cores, as long as one remained, he could be reborn. With 4 Cannons present, presumably his cores had split into 4 different bodies. Yet, Enno was skeptical if Cannon truly reincarnated. Why stay silent in the face of these historical lies? At that moment, 2 ordinary guys claimed to be Cannon's 2nd and 3rd cores. Lao, the 3rd core, hearing Enno was from the demon realm, recklessly challenged him to a fight. But with a flicker no stronger than a feather's touch, Enno sent him flying meters away. Disappointed, Enno saw that Cannon's cores were nothing special. Barley, the 2nd core, reluctantly bowed and apologized for their insolence, then asked for Enno's name. Without hesitation, he revealed his unknown name, unrecorded in any history. Still disappointed, Enno doubted these were genuine Cannon reincarnations. Bianca advised him not to hope too much Cannon's rebirth wouldn't be like before, especially since humans had once killed him. After 10 long days, the last students from the Demon King Academy finally arrived for a magical exchange event. The Hero Academy sent Lao, Cannon's 3rd core, led by Real ID class leader, a pure-blooded youth from class 53, to face off. After their leader's performance, Enno planned to use magic to transform this mouse into a fearsome beast. But no matter how many spells he chanted, not a single sign from that little mouse. And as if that wasn't enough, the teacher of the same level poured fuel on the fire, mocking the Demon King Academy as if it was all just a joke. In moments like this, how could our side's presence be absent? Truly, those petty traps set by the so-called heroes are nothing. He didn't even bother wearing shoes. With a word, he shattered the invisible barrier surrounding the cage of imprisonment. That tiny mouse instantly transformed into a fierce beast, turning the show into something truly spectacular. Using magic, he forged a holy spear identical to the human's sacred weapon, leaving everyone awestruck. Despite knowing the strict divide between purebloods and half-bloods in the demon realm, that teacher boldly declared with certainty that he was the ruthless Demon King himself before the purebloods. Unsurprisingly, the purebloods refused to accept this. They stood up fiercely to refute him, sparking a noisy dispute that shook the room. That night, Evis came with fresh intel. Investigations revealed that Cannon's murder by humans was kept secret, but the fact that An-O could reincarnate again was widely known in the human world. Especially, Avis uncovered that they always planned to eliminate him once more. After talking with Ivis, An-O and the 2 sisters were invited out to enjoy the festival, since it was the birthday of the hero known as Chicken. An-O knew him. Chicken's genes belonged to Cannon's master from a past life. By chance, the 3 spotted Lay and Miller sneaking out together, and O thought to greet them, but from afar, it seemed like those 2 were on a date. No way was he going to crash that scene. Trying to block the way, he followed them, and saw Lay giving Miller a pair of shell necklaces split in 2. According to legend, gifting matching shells is like a proposal between couples. No matter how you look at it, these 2 definitely share feelings for each other. The next morning, the 2 academies held a battle tournament where both sides used their military magic to fight. The Superhero Academy wielded magical formations, while the Demon King Academy relied solely on pure demonic power. Enno wanted to volunteer to lead his team, but the purebloods said, "Half-bloods, you're not needed here." "All right, if you want to show off, I won't stop you," he said, stepping back to let Annie lead the charge. Both sides deployed their formations underwater. Annie built a defensive fortress as usual, but after the first few exchanges, everyone noticed the Demon King Academy's magic weakening while the Hero Academy's power grew stronger. Through his magic eye, Anno saw humans pouring holy water into the lake, boosting their magic and suppressing demon powers. Sure enough, no matter how hard Annie fought beneath the waves, the superheroes' magic overwhelmed them. In the final strike, the heroes formed a triangle formation that drained the demon castle's magic, causing it to collapse completely. Using his magic eye to witness the underwater battlefield, Historia realized they had a conspiracy to destroy the Demon King Academy from within. Seeing all her students fall, she wanted to dive down to save them, but Anno stopped her with a spell, lifting the wounded to shore safely. He began tending to their serious injuries. Although Arnie disliked Os, to restore the Demon King Academy's honor, he had no choice but to rely on Un-O. Only Un-O could reclaim their dignity in this battle. Anno began conjuring a gigantic fireball and hurled it into the lake holding the holy water. The fireball gradually evaporated the water, turning the battlefield into dry land finally, a fair fight between the two academies. The heroes quickly erected a barrier to counter Anayu's fireball, but suddenly, a swift and dangerous girl appeared, slicing his fireball into shards. An-oh felt a spark of excitement finally, a worthy opponent. To breach their defenses, Misa needed at least 3 minutes to build her fortress inside their barrier. An-oh promised to protect her until then. When the fortress was complete, the rest would teleport in to join. In a flash, both were inside the hero's barrier. The girl was introduced by Louis as Jessie, Canon's 4th origin and top-ranked student of the academy. But enough introductions, back to battle. As Misa built her fortress, the heroes launched an all-out attack. Yet, with flawless defense, Misa absorbed every blow, then turned the tide, scattering the attackers. Just as her fortress was finished, reinforcements arrived, revealing themselves for the first clash. From afar, Zaza engaged in a fierce fight with Lao. During the battle, Zaza stealthily stole Lao's magic button, but he quickly reclaimed it. Lao then unleashed a magic array that immobilized her. Confident she was done for, Lao was shocked when Zaza suddenly coughed blood and collapsed. Turns out the stolen button was poisoned. Now it was her turn to strike back. Using her magic eye, Zaza destroyed Lao's magic array. Now only Lao remained between her and victory. This time he had no choice but to surrender to Zaza's skill. Meanwhile, Lei faced off directly against the white-haired brat. Annoyed by his arrogance, Lei swiftly severed one of the kid's arms, then snatched his holy sword. The brat boasted that his sword would mark victims with a sacred stigma no magic could heal. Without hesitation, Lei slashed him with the blessed blade. The kid's face paled in fear, begging for mercy, but it was too late. Lei's final strike landed, a mark that would be remembered forever. Meanwhile, Un-oh approached Li, who had been pretending to be dead. Now exposed, Li rose, sword drawn, declaring he would fight a fair battle against Un-oh. Fair? Not a chance. Jacob rushed in to back him up, but Un-oh wasn't fazed. He easily fended off both, sending them crashing into nearby rock. Realizing Un-oh was no ordinary foe, Li and Jacob teamed up, activating their full power mode. The battlefield was about to erupt into chaos, a battle where only one side would emerge victorious. But deep inside, Un-oh's calm storm was just beginning to rage. And so the clash of titans, continued magic and steel colliding in a dance of fate. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by forces beyond your control, remember, even in the darkest storm, a single spark can ignite a blazing flame. Thanks for sharing this journey with me. The battle formation was activated, a mystical web that allowed those two to effortlessly draw upon the shared magical energy of over 10 million human souls. Suddenly, their magic surged, and with newfound confidence, they charged forward to shatter Ananyu's protective barrier. This was the combined might of 10 million Humansa force that seemed unstoppable. It looked like Un-oh was doomed, but no, he was far from ordinary. On our side, mediocrity has no place. While they relied on the power of 10 million, Un-oh needed only 8. He sent word to the girls of the United Party, urging them to raise a soul-infused anthem, channeling their strength to bolster his magic. Suddenly, Anayu's power skyrocketed. Every strike from those two was now as fragile as candy in his hands. Their attacks bounced off, only to be instantly repelled by him. The tide shifted fiercely. Levely's demeanor twisted into a growl of fury. He was determined to kill An-oh. Not just Levely, the girls of the United Party began showing strange signs, their will to attack intensifying. Jessia, alongside the rest, surged forward, launching relentless assaults on An-oh. Their strikes could not harm him, yet they refused to relent, driven by a desperate resolve. Amid the chaos, Mianka's voice cut through the turmoil. An-oh, come to the temple. Only I can teach you how to stop Jessia. But Jessia continued her wild onslaught, pinning An-oh down with no end in sight. With no other choice, he called Misa to scout the temple. When Misa arrived, Bianca was nowhere to be found. Instead, the sinister teacher Dego awaited her. Hatred for the demons burned bright in Misa's heart. Without hesitation, Dego flung open a back door, unleashing a holy light that seared Misa, leaving her gravely wounded. But that was only the beginning. He plunged his sword through her again and again, merciless beyond measure. As he prepared for the final fatal strike, An-oh burst in, hurling Dego away and erecting a protective barrier around Misa. Now, it was An-oh's turn for retribution. He transformed Dego into a monstrous beast, a cruel punishment, making him embody the very demon he loathed most. Driven mad, Dego lost all reason, desperate to wield his new demonic form to destroy An-oh. Outside, he broadcast his madness, manipulating the Academy's students, compelling them to fight with reckless abandon, bent on wiping out the Demon King Academy's forces. Dago's frenzied commands echoed, urging madness and destruction, but An-oh had already frozen time with a spell before arriving. His enemies' frantic calls were useless, falling on deaf ears. Then, with a grim smile, An-oh crushed the very root of Dago's power, the source of his soul, turning his existence into a living torment, worse than death itself. With one hand, An-oh shattered Dago's essence, sealing any chance of resurrection. After healing Misa, he carried her into the room behind the door. There, they found Jessia trapped inside a sphere, surrounded by countless dark orbs that cloaked the place in shadow. Mianka awakened as An-oh appeared, desperately pleading with him to free her. She promised to reveal secrets long hidden, truths waiting in the shadows. Once freed, Bianca revealed a haunting tale. 2.5 years ago, General Jengar, consumed by deep hatred for demons, clung to his bitterness even after the Demon King sacrificed himself to protect the world. His grudge remained unbroken, passed down through generations, feeding a cycle of vengeance and sorrow. Haunted by an unyielding hatred for demons, he shattered his magic into 2 parts. The Ars Magic Array, designed to spread a burning resentment toward demons across all humanity. Hero Cannon, upon learning that his master relentlessly sought to ignite a war to annihilate all demons, desperately tried to stop him. Hadn't they always fought for peace? Yet now, it seemed, Cannon was betrayed and slain by those he trusted most his comrades and master. Disillusioned with humanity, Cannon chose never to reincarnate again. But Jengar, also known as Lego, craved immortality and endless rebirths. Using human cloning magic, as long as one clone survived, he could be reborn again and again. So when Cannon seemed dead, he was merely regenerating soon to rise once more. Bianca begged An-oh to destroy her, for she was the key to cloning. Only by her death could all clones be stopped from reviving. We see 2.5's relentless struggle through Bianca, now exhausted. Just as An-oh prepared to grant her release, the leech-like Dago Dai, freshly reincarnated, led his troops back. Yet before facing An-oh, at the sacred sword site, Avos and the 3 remaining demon elders appeared. Abbott tried to seize the sacred sword, but Dago scoffed, arrogantly claiming no demon could wield it, only Hero Cannon could. Yet despite his confidence, Avos swiftly struck the sacred sword from him, then defeated Dago. Avos moved to confront An-oh before the tyrant Demon King himself. Avos shamelessly proclaimed himself the ruthless Demon King. He swung the sacred sword at An-oh, but every strike was shattered. Abbott's true goal was to spark war once more, to plunge the world into darkness. The theft of the sacred sword was the final spark, igniting the brutal conflict between demon and human realms. Both sides hastily alerted their people to the looming war. Armies were mobilized for a second great offensive, desperate to prevent more suffering. An-oh intended to face the demons alone, but his friends and comrades refused to let him stand solo. They were always ready to fight by his side, shoulder to shoulder. Before the battle, Lai approached Mina to take half of her necklace, promising to return safely. As the war began, forces divided. Sisters Zaza and Misa, tasked with stopping the vanguard at the border. Miller and Lei held the central front. The 3 traitorous demon elders faced their reckoning. And Avos, the big boss, headed straight for the castle, though it seemed he wasn't there. After finishing their missions, the team relayed news to reassure An-oh. Only Miller faced trouble after wiping out enemy troops at the forest edge. Her updates mysteriously vanished. Predicting Avos's path, An-oh quickly erected magical barriers to trap him inside the demon realm. Arriving there, he found Avos ensnared, and the 2 plunged into a ferocious, relentless battle, neither willing to yield. In a fierce close-range attack, An-oh snatched a necklace from Avos's neck. It was the twin necklace to Mina's, the one Lei had taken that night. The curtain was about to fall. Lei wasn't just a hero, he was Hero Cannon reborn. 2,000 years ago, Jengar's forces not only killed Cannon but plotted to exterminate An-oh as well. The humans' desire to kill a great being like him was a grave mistake. To fix humanity's error, Lai intervened in An-oh's reincarnation. That's why people always believed the ruthless Demon King Albert, Jengar's puppet, sowed absolute hatred toward demons in human hearts. Only when An-oh died would the curse of hatred break. Lai, knowing this burden, chose to reincarnate in the demon realm, igniting war to save an Uso. The curse would lift without sacrifice. As lifelong friends across 2 lifetimes, An-oh refused to let Lai die in his place. Together they plunged into battle, fighting not just for themselves but to protect each other and peace itself. Dodging Lionel's strike mid-air, An-oh shattered one of Lai's cores with magic, then unleashed a storm of attacks, killing 5 more chorus until only 1 remained, exhausted and falling. Yet Lai refused to surrender. "I can lose as many times as I must, but this time I will win," he roared. The world's fate hung in the balance. If this chance slipped, none would come again. Summoning another sacred sword with unwavering resolve, Lai sliced through OS's attacks at the speed of light, charging toward a fireball he created. At the decisive moment, An-oh did not resist the let Lai's sword pierce his core. The magical barrier slowly lowered. An-oh changed clothes for Lai and donned Abbott's mask. Thus, the scene of Hero Cannon slaying the ruthless Demon King unfolded once more before everyone's eyes. It was revealed that from the start, An-O had planned for Lai to kill him, halting war, breaking humanity's curse of hatred, and sparing Lai from sacrifice. 3 birds with 1 stone. Before vanishing, An-O ordered the demon realm to retreat quickly to their lands, forbidding any unauthorized attacks. List history repeat its tragic cycle from 2,000 years ago. Once again, An-O chose sacrifice to preserve the world's peace. He would forever remain the immortal hero in Lai's heart and among the realm's people. With every ounce of strength drained, Lai plummeted from above to the ground below. Yet, he refused to yield. No matter how many times he fell, this time he vowed to win. He needed to save the world. This chance was one he could not let slip away. Letting out a fierce roar, Lai summoned another sword saint, his determination soaring to new heights. With the speed of light, he shattered OS's attacks and charged straight at the fireball he had conjured, delivering a decisive strike. He shattered the OS's attacks with a single stroke, then charged straight at the fireball he had just conjured. With a decisive slash aimed downwards, in that critical moment, An-O didn't resist. He let Lai's blade pierce right through his Koretha, very barrier sealing their world slowly, crumbling it down. An-O changed clothes for Lai, then took Abbott's mask and put it on. Thus, the heroic scene of Canon slaying the tyrant demon king unfolded once more before everyone's eyes. It turns out from the start, An-O planned for Lai to kill him in front of everyone. This way, he could prevent war, break the curse of human hatred, and save Lai from sacrifice all with 1 arrow. The trio's plan unfolded exactly as An-O intended before he vanished. He ordered the demon realm to retreat swiftly to their lands before the brutal demon king's return. No one was allowed to lead troops against their own kind. Just like 2,000 years ago, An-O chose sacrifice once again to protect peace. He would forever live as the undying hero in Lai's heart and in the souls of this world's people. Everyone thought the story ended there, but fate had other plans. That greedy, cowardly old demon, Jengar, upon killing An-O, sought to erase the entire demon realm. He transformed instantly into a giant Jengar, aiming to harness the power of one of Girsia's clones to trigger a cataclysmic explosion, wiping out all demons. Facing his mentor who had lost his humanity, Lai wished to help him find freedom, but with the holy light protecting his body, none of Lai's strikes could wound him. Seeing this, Avis quickly used a technique to help Misa and Jasa merge into a powerful demon form to confront Jengar. Yet, after thousands of years, Jengar was no easy foe. Despite the sisters' chains, he fiercely counterattacked. Below, Lai, Miller, and Branka fought desperately to eliminate Girsia's clones, but with Jengar's overwhelming power, he controlled the Girsia, preparing a devastating explosion. Over 1,000 Girsia clones merged with Jengar, number far from small. The sisters' chains could no longer restrain him. In the end, despite everyone's united effort, the explosion was inevitable. A terrifying force began to engulf everything. Yet with Jengar's overwhelming power, he held full control over the clones, preparing a cataclysmic explosion that threatened to tear the world apart. Over 1,000 entities fused with Jengar himself at a staggering force. The sisters' chains, once unbreakable, could no longer restrain him. Despite their united front to stop the blast, the detonation was inevitable. A terrifying energy began to engulf the entire space, dark and consuming. Just when all hope seemed lost, the expected explosion never came. Instead, An-O returned more powerful and fierce than ever. It turned out he had used Lai's attack as a catalyst to restore his essence, a forbidden feat only the ruthless Demon King founder could achieve. Though Jengar hesitated at An-O's resurgence, his pride pushed him onward, refusing to bow. Confident, Jengar saw this as his chance to end An-O's life once and for all. He unleashed the Ask, forcing the people to surrender their power, their heads nearly bursting under the strain. Even if it meant death, Jengar's hatred consumed his every, though the refused to stop. But An-O, weakened and still recovering his magic, found himself vulnerable to Jengar's relentless assault. Just as Jengar's blade descended, it was blocked. Lai couldn't stand by and watch the battle unfold. Knowing he had to lend his strength to save this world, both he and Lai charged at Jengar. Lai's sword struck fiercely at the barrier encasing him, while An-O tried to restrain Jengar with chains. But it seemed futile, and An-O was struck and injured, his magic still fragile from recent resurrection. Spotting this weakness, Jengar smiled inwardly, certain this time he would finish An-O. But wait, old man, think you're the only one who can summon power? Girls of the Union, raise your spirits. Let your battle hymn roar as always. Amidst the soaring, heroic melodies of the demon girls, An-O's power surged dramatically, growing steadily to match Jengar's might. Is that all you've got, old bird? Jengar sneered, spinning his chariot to aim his spear at our heroines. Bianca immediately rallied soldiers to shield the Union girls. Watching the fierce battle unfold, even the allies below weren't blind, they knew friend from foe. Reinforcements gathered, while an owl refused to linger in conflict any longer. Turning the tide, an owl summoned a lightning strike down the path forged by Jengar's own ancient sword, shocking his foe like a pang sharper than a pangolin's armor. Still defiant, Jengar refused to retreat. From above, Lei wielded the sacred blade, delivering a decisive blow that sent Gengar crashing down. "It's time to end this. Look upon this world one last time, old man," Lei declared. An owl called the Demon King's sword back to his grasp. Together with Lei, they struck a fatal, twin-bladed strike straight to Jengar's forehead. Letting out a final roar, Jengar was erased from this world forever. As his eyes closed, visions of his wife and daughter appeared waiting for him beyond the veil. At last, his hatred dissolved, and with satisfaction, he embraced the peace of eternal rest. Peace settled after the storm of battle, everything returning to the calm it once knew. Misa and Sasa parted ways, each heading home. Kako no longer needed to sacrifice herself. When Lei and Milan locked eyes, they embraced tightly sweet happiness flowing between them. After ensuring everyone's safety, An-O invited the two sisters over to his home, just like old times. This time, Bianca joined the gathering too. As usual, his parents welcomed them warmly. They greeted the third daughter-in-law of the family with heartfelt kindness. Together, they shared a cozy meal filled with joy and boundless happiness. Thankfully, after all the chaos, each soul found their own perfect ending. Now, let's rewind 2,000 years to the era of Salad Salo and Leno was chatting with tiny, adorable fairy spirits about her decision to journey to Dens. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared. A figure arrived familiar yet unknown, claiming to be Gallia, the original creator of the gods. He revealed his plan to spread his lineage across the lands. Fate had chosen Leno as his target, and now he demanded she bear his child. To put it bluntly, he intended to violate Leno in broad daylight. Who in their right mind would agree to that? Naturally, Leno fiercely resisted, but with overwhelming power, Gallia quickly subdued her. Just as Gallia was about to carry out his vile scheme, an unexpected surge of magic enveloped him from behind. A hand commanding and unstoppable pierced through the core of his being. The intruder revealed himself, the brutal Demon King, An-O. Gallia, arrogant and self-assured, declared himself immortal, invincible. Yet before he could finish, a single strike silenced him forever. From behind, An-O wasted no time, crushing Gallia's essence and sending him to the afterlife. Whether god or immortal, none escaped the wrath of the Demon King's hand, each tasting unbearable agony. Later, An-O proposed a daring plan to Kano, sacrifice himself to save humanity. After successful negotiation, Kano plunged a fatal sword into the core of the OS people, erecting walls that separated races. Thanks to this, peace was preserved for 2 millennia. Fast forward to the present, 2,000 years after the fierce battle with Dago from Part 1, the world returned to tranquil normalcy. Every morning, the gang diligently walked to school, training their bodies. From afar, An-O spotted Jazaza, instantly noticing her new, cuter hair ribbon. With a perfect 10 in flirting skills, a few simple compliments left her blushing, tongue-tied. Though shy on the surface, her heart danced with joy. After the war, Miller and Lei's relationship blossomed far beyond before. Today, they even dared to attend school together openly, causing a stir among their classmates. Lovebirds like them can't help but throw out sweet moments, driving the single crowd crazy. Yet inside the classroom, students still disliked Misa as before, especially since after 13 episodes, no one realized An-O was the true progenitor. They stubbornly believed Avid was the real Demon King, while An-O was just a brutal, cheap imposter. Yet An-O didn't bother arguing. He knew the truth was clear. The violent Demon King was him, and always would be. Soon, the teacher entered, announcing 2 new students from the Hero Academy, Bianca and JCA. With Anayu's help, they transferred here, swelling their team's ranks, and promising even more lively chaos. Not just students, a new teacher named Somai was introduced. The students sneered, doubting him because he wasn't born of royalty. But Somai's true identity was far from ordinary. He was no mere mortal. Born 2,000 years ago, he was second only to the Demon King in influence, one of the 4 kings of the divine tribe, King Zhu, King Ming, King Phoebe, and himself, the Scholar King. Unexpected twists kept coming. Somai's first lesson shocked every honey, declared that the so-called Avos Demon King was a fake, while the true brutal Demon King was none other than An-O, reincarnated and seated at the top. He even displayed images of the 7 demon elders and their pact to prove the truth. Then he called An-O to speak, ordering all students to kneel before him. But An-O cast a spell granting chairs that spared everyone from kneeling. "This is an era of peace," he said. "No need for the brutal Demon King anymore. I'm just a regular demon, now like a carton of milk. Believe it if you want. I'm not forcing anyone." Then An-O quietly returned to his seat. Passing Somai, he immediately exposed the teacher's true identity as the divine servant Gallia. He realized the gods had infiltrated the demon tribe for some hidden agenda and vowed to watch Gallia closely. Unexpectedly, as Anal sat down, Gallia dropped his mask, no longer hiding from his divine master. He openly declared his plan to reshape the world order by eliminating Un-O. "Don't think you can bully me just because I'm gentle," Un-O warned, summoning his demon sword, a harbinger of an impending battle. Gallia, the stubborn, slow-witted divine servant, wore the victorious mask from 2,000 years ago. He believed killing Somai would bring about the world's collapse. He doubted Un-O could strike him down, but he gravely underestimated his opponent. Before he could finish, Un-O's sword sliced him into dust. Yet, death was no end, for Gallia resurrection was part of Un-O's style. "Now, I am merely a regular demon, like a can of milk," he declared. Whether anyone believed him or not, he wouldn't force their conviction. After saying this, Un-O walked away in silence. As he passed by Manamos, he immediately exposed his true identity as the celestial deity Gallia. He needed to observe the old man more closely to understand the god's motives for infiltrating the demon realm. Unexpectedly, as Un-O returned, the old man's true nature was revealed, no longer concealing it before his divine presence. He openly declared his intent to arrange the order of the world by eliminating Un-O. He wouldn't act yet, believing Un-O would not stand a chance against him. "You think you can just take advantage of my kindness? Not happening." Before he could finish, Un-O struck him down, reducing him to dust. Killing him and resurrecting him was Un-O's signature move, and this time was no different. Un-O could not allow the world to crumble due to Gallia's death. He revived him. However, just a few simple moves were enough to leave Gallia pale with fear, no longer daring to provoke Un-O. After class, Un-O discovered the presence of a divine child within the academy and entity that would aid the celestial deity in countering him. They needed to find this child as quickly as possible. While he approached Bulan for news, everyone split up to search. Lei and Misa teamed up for their search, and with precious private time together, they took advantage of the moment to share sweet moments. Unexpectedly, just as they were getting cozy, a rude interruption appeared out of nowhere. He introduced himself as Ajima, a subordinate of their father, Miller. They had to hurry, as the two sisters, Song-Sa, discovered that Senior Eni was gravely injured. Despite being exhausted, the young man urged them to save Historia, as she had ambushed him and taken her away. After receiving his consent, the sisters quickly set off to chase after her. Un-O arrived at Bulan's location, but it was too late. A demon underling of Gallia was already waiting for him there. He stands in defiance of his resurrection, bound to engage in a battle of wits with the cunning Obama, as a chilling scene flashes across the Sony 5.5-inch screen. Miller gasps as an underling of Arsenal plunges a dagger into her chest, while Bianca finds herself in a fierce encounter with another self-proclaimed deputy of the Philby King. In this last act of desperation, Songsa finally tracks down the kidnapper, a sinister figure claiming to be Vina, a minion of the Demon King. Ozma reveals critical information about everyone's whereabouts, signaling the start of an epic intellectual duel. She demands an owl prove his claim as the god's child through 18 questions. For each question, she will respond with true or false, allowed only one lie throughout. If An Owl can deduce the divine child's identity from these riddles, the victory will be his. The duel's rules are strict. No magic for Ozma during the 5 seconds facing an owl, and vice versa if he loses. Repeating questions is forbidden. If either surrenders, the other wins. An owl braces himself for this mind-bending game, ready to unravel secrets from A to Z. But wait, after just 2 seconds, an owl demands a rule change. Only the questions themselves count, ignoring other constraints. This bold move leaves Ozma stunned and frustrated, unable to retort. Even suspecting an owl has a hidden agenda, she reluctantly agrees to the pact. Meanwhile, Miller's wound from Arsenal's stab mysteriously heals her quick recovery, a testament to her resilience. It turns out Ajima's true goal is to seize Miller's origin, for she is the divine child of the great spirit, Leno. This origin gives her control over all spirits in the world. Back at Banker, Jessie transforms her allies into real zombies, making hand-to-hand combat impossible. Bianca and Jacob flee amid this horror, but outside, scores of Hero Academy students are also turning into undead, all advancing to attack. Song-Sa and Miller face their own grim battle. Though Historia's appearance is rough and grimy, her strength is no joke. Even with Phoenix fire-resistant cloaks and Lotus Leaf ice rings, the sisters are overwhelmed and knocked down. Meanwhile, An Owl begins his cerebral duel with Ozma, first guessing that one of her 4 subordinates is the god's child. He interrogates each, and Ozma denies the first 3, confirming Miller as the divine child. But after 9 questions and piecing together Ozma's contradictory answers, An Owl realizes the terrifying truth. Ozma's memories are fake, implanted in her mind. The god's child isn't among her subordinates, and Ozma is unknowingly deceiving herself with false memories. Not a single prodigy's heir could have lost this mental jewel. According to a fleeting 5-second memory, he couldn't use or alter any pact. Silently, he healed Bolan's wounds. The image of his injuries was just an illusion he conjured. In other words, the moment he challenged the ruthless demon lord, he was already defeated, unable to lift his head. He knew he was cornered. Desperate, the demon lord tried to shatter the root of his existence with suicide, but our hero wouldn't let him die that easily. He unleashed the resurrection spell, turning him into a loyal owl servant. Thanks to this, the demon lord confessed his true goal, to weaken the demon lord's dark power, even just a little, so everyone could be safe. Gathering all in one place, Vulan announced the leader of the United Party had revealed himself even, though no one had met him face to face. This mysterious figure called himself Sheen, the right hand and trusted subordinate of the ruthless demon lord. Because of the complicated current situation, he couldn't show his face and arranged to meet in the Aken forest. Surely the great spirit Lano was there too. Sheen handed over half of the demon sword, taken from the arsenal. After our hero merged the two halves of the dark sword, he recognized it as the legendary purification sword forged 2,000 years ago. Determined, he set off for the forest to meet Shin. But since he couldn't yet confirm the prodigy's heir, and feared the girl would secretly awaken the child, he decided to bring everyone along, including the divine assistant girl. Upon arriving at the Great Spirit territory, the girl explained a competition spanning 10 days. The group needed to find a path to the forest of the Great Spirit. On the way, they'd likely face goblins hiding in the mist, just make them laugh, and they'll guide the way. The team split into groups to tackle the task. While passing through town, our hero and the Song Sisters spotted a girl being bullied. Of course, helping the weak is second nature. The girl boldly claimed she knew the route to the Great Spirit Forest. With a single, effortless strike, our hero could have crushed the petty bullies. Once safe, the mysterious girl revealed she suffered from amnesia but felt an unstoppable urge to reach the Great Spirit Forest. She barely remembered her name was Lena and offered to guide them there if, accompanied by 1 or 2 people. Our hero quickly agreed. But the mist leading to the forest only appears during a solar eclipse, predicted 9 days from now. This meant they had to wait 9 days before entering. But hey, there's a ruthless demon lord here too. And, with the golden hand of the shonen hero, nothing's impossible. Look, he's casting a spell to pull the moon over the sun. After informing the others, he followed Lena to the Great Spirit Forest. Though they reached its edge, they still needed spirits to guide them deeper. Everyone, bring out your wildest tricks, he urged. Misa and Lei volunteered to break the ice with some humor, but their antics just looked like flirting. Bianca and Jessie arrived soon after, but no one expected much. Meanwhile, the United Party's girls showed off a staff resembling the Demon Lord's weapon. Their bashful smiles amused the spirits, who burst into laughter. After sharing this news, our hero and the group followed Lena deeper into the Great Spirit Forest after all. It was familiar ground for some. Come on, get going, follow us, the spirits urged playfully. As they ventured in, the spirits warned of a goblin clan settled there 2,500 years ago. About Shin's subordinate, they had no clue where he was. Suddenly, the spirits noticed Lena looked strikingly like the great spirit Leno, but Leno died over 2,000 years ago. Probably just a resemblance. At this moment, Mila revealed that Shin's subordinate might be Lano's long-lost child, born from great hardship. If true, Mila hoped the great spirits would reveal her father's identity. But the spirits cried, "That secret cannot be told," and flew away. The group then arrived at the Great Spirit Castle's gates, greeted by a burly, rough-faced goblin, the infamous Fubi King. Unexpectedly, the Goblin King and the Dark King appeared here, working together with Fubi. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them, and an ancient talking tree introduced itself as the elder who teaches the spirit class. It explained that entering meant enrollment. New students must pass 3 tests, with scores above 80. Fail and their souls would be taken, succeed, and they'd meet the Spirit King, who would answer all their questions. To save time, our hero suggested taking all 3 tests at once, despite the elder's warning that this would be extremely difficult. Confident, our hero didn't flinch, even when the Fubi King mocked him. He boldly made a pact. If he won, the Fubi King would reveal their true master's identity. If he lost, they could claim his root of existence. The Fubi King agreed, sealing the pact. With only a few allies left, our hero used magic to restore Lena's memories, but it only helped her recall that she was a spirit. As the test preparation began, Lena guided the group to the Spirit Knowledge Treasury, filled with countless tales and test questions to cram in a week. Under Minan's unconventional but secret study method, everyone absorbed the vital information. During this process, our hero noticed no book mentioned Lena at all. On exam day, they tackled the test in 1 hour. Thanks to thorough preparation, the whole team scored a perfect 100%. Suspecting cheating, the CP King demanded to review their papers, but after endless scrutiny, he found no faults. The tension was thick, but victory was theirs. This chapter of their journey wasn't just about passing tests, it was a testament to trust, unity, and the unyielding spirit to uncover hidden truths. If you've ever felt like an outcast, struggling to find your place, remember, sometimes all you need is a little faith and a fierce will to shine through the shadows. News spreads that this classroom specializes in the history of spirits. Stepping inside means you've officially enrolled. However, leaving requires passing a rigorous test 3 times, and achieving a score above 80 is essential. Those who fail will find their souls trapped in limbo, while the victors will meet the Spirit King, destined to have all their questions answered if only they can survive the ordeal. Anne, undeterred, proposes that everyone should take the test at once, avoiding the hassle of multiple rounds. Despite the ancient tree's warning that merging 3 tests would be extremely challenging, Anne remains confident. The mocking jeers from the Philby King only fuel his resolve. With unwavering determination, Anne strikes a pact with him. If he wins, he demands to know the true master behind their schemes. Should he lose, they reserve the right to strip him of his essence. With a smirk, Anne signs the contract, securing his reputation. Alone with his thoughts, Anne uses magic to restore Lena's memories. Yet, the attempt falls short. He can only help her remember that she is indeed a spirit. As for preparing for the upcoming test, Lena recalls her knowledge and leads the group to the treasure trove of spirit knowledge. Within its depths lie countless tales of spirits and questions resembling those on the test, all of which they must memorize within a week. With an unconventional study method, the ancient wisdom of the Demon King guides them in retaining crucial information. However, Anne discovers that no book documents Lena's existence at all. On the day of the test, the group dives in, and after an hour of intense focus, every member scores a perfect 100%. Suspecting foul play, the CP King demands to review their tests, but despite his scrutiny, he finds no faults to exploit. Frustrated, he realizes that the ink is dry, the contract binding. He begrudgingly informs Anne that the one pulling the strings is in fact the Spirit King. Yet, to meet him, they must first endure a series of trials. The first challenge presents itself in the form of a staircase 5 paths lead to the Spirit King's realm. If the door at the top does not open upon their arrival, it's clear they've failed. Apprehensive that the Tutar King may be plotting against them, everyone hopes Anne will choose the correct path to the Great Spirit and boost their chances of success. He cleverly divides his essence into 16 parts, disguising his followers to resemble him. Rapidly, 5 members succeed in selecting the right door. Anne, Miller, Lika, and the Songsa sister Saul united in this critical moment. Among these stairways lie 5 paths leading to the Spirit King's chamber. Reach the top only to find the door sealed its failure. Fearing tricks from the 4 evil kings, everyone hoped An-O would choose the path to the Great Spirit, increasing their odds of victory. To deceive foes, he split his essence into 16, disguising his followers to resemble him. 5 succeeded. An-O, Miller, Like, and the Song Sister Saul, key players in this fateful game of chance. Suddenly, Lena appeared beside An-O. Catching him off guard, she had been injured during her own trial. She revealed a memory, a secret path through the treetops. Trusting her instinct, they followed this hidden route. An-O nodded, urging Lena to speak up if more memories surfaced. Quickly, he informed the others of this secret way, then continued upward with Lena. As they neared the treetop, Lena pointed out a concealed door nearby. Passing through, they stepped into a breathtaking realm blossoming with countless dazzling flowers. An indescribable familiarity washed over Lenash, felt a deep connection, as if a message awaited from the Spirit King. Drawn forward, she approached a tomb, and the moment her hand touched a flower atop it, tears streamed down her face. At that moment, the Shadow King of the 4 evil kings appeared, confronting An-O. She confessed the Shadow King was truly dead, and that she was the second incarnation, also the lover of the fallen Shadow King named G. Bound by a dark spell to resurrect him, she was under control. She revealed that only if An-O carried half of the sacred demon sword could they lure the ruthless Demon King to this place. Moreover, the remaining evil kings were all puppets, controlled beneath this unseen force. G disclosed that the mastermind behind it all was none other than the Spirit King himself, who had seized power after the original Spirit King's demise. G showed An-O the true visage of this great Spirit King. Instantly, An-O recognized him as the imposter from the Demon Sword tournament, the very one who had disguised himself as An-O. Despite everything, An-O knew he had to confront this shadowy figure. Determined to unravel the truth, An-O agreed to rescue the woman he loved. Together with Miller, he approached a mysterious door and met the enigmatic shadow wolf Jenon inside. Strangely, Jenon didn't block their path but allowed them entry into the castle beyond. Within the throne room, they faced the figure seated there. The Spirit King challenged An-O to prove his loyalty or face the consequences. But to learn the truth, An-O had to endure a trial. The Spirit King demanded a duel, wielding one of the countless sacred spirit swords before him. With resolve, N.O. drew his blade, ready to clash with the Spirit King. Meanwhile, N.O. and Miller encountered the Shadow King, who revealed that only one could pass through the door. The Shadow King proposed a deal. If Anno allied with him, he would grant passage, while he himself would stay behind to fight Jenin and save the trapped souls. Without hesitation, Anno cast a protective barrier around Lena. The Shadow King then lunged into battle against Jenin. After a few strikes, he realized these were mere illusions, not Jenin's true form. But if Jenin could manifest so easily, he was no ordinary foe. With the fierce windleaf slash, An-O shattered Jenin's illusions, revealing a wellspring of tremendous power beneath. The colossal explosion shattered the illusion of the hidden tomb, yet its devastating force reached Lena, causing her to vanish even within the protective barrier. An-O, using his magical sight, instantly grasped the gravity of the situation and entrusted the remaining mission to Minvung, urging him forward to confront the Spirit King in the Grand Hall. There, Lai was locked in a fierce battle with the Spirit King, two forces evenly matched, their clash echoing the very essence of balance. Suddenly, Lai was struck fiercely by the Spirit King, breaking one of his 6 core elements. Swiftly, the Spirit King sealed the remaining 5. Aware that Lai was no ordinary reincarnated hero, there was a history between them. Yet, he ignored Lai's questions, pressing his relentless assault. Bound by the seals, Lai's strength waned, his limbs faltering under the weight of the battle. Just as Lai prepared to unleash his final sword strike, Miller dashed in, shielding him from the fatal blow. Meanwhile, N.O. advanced into the castle where the treacherous Phi-Bai King awaited, already seated and eager for a duel. Without hesitation, An-O challenged him to fight swiftly. There was no time for the king's idle chatter. Phi-Bai King's confidence stemmed from the ancient magic stones before him, artifacts he crafted to amplify his power. Yet, his research barely scratched the surface compared to An-O's mastery. No matter how much he doubled his magical force, just a single strike from An-O would reduce him to ash. Resolute, An-O prepared to end this swiftly. After dispatching the obstructive lizard-like foe, An-O pressed on to the Spirit King's sanctuary. There, he confronted a horrifying truth. The Spirit King had possessed Miller's body, revealing himself as Avos, the infamous false demon king, a tyrant bent on restoring the demon realm's order under his cruel reign. To realize his vision, Avos vowed to annihilate An-O. In a battle of wits, An-O uncovered Avos's deceit. Avos had implanted false memories into Ozmar's mind, manipulating events to mislead him. As Ozmar prepared to take his own life, these fabricated memories aimed to distract An-O from Ozmar's true mission, stopping the broadcast magic that could expose Avos's identity as the false demon king, which would surely end his reign. An-O also realized Albert's true intent, to master the Purge Sword before confronting him. Meanwhile, the 7 demon elders, now under Albert's control, launched a relentless assault. But could our hero fall now? Surely not. Bathed in the radiant glow of the protagonist's unwavering spirit, An-O emerged unscathed, even evading death through a mysterious arcane trick, reuniting with his allies. A protective barrier engulfed the castle, trapping everyone inside and blocking any rescue attempts for Miller. The earlier image of An-O was but an illusion, projected by him via broadcast magic to confront Avos. Urgency mounted as the group rushed toward the spear, demanding the old man release their comrades. Yet, his stubbornness led to a fierce, magical outburst from An-O, shattering the old man's carefully crafted defenses and freeing everyone. As they emerged, 2.5 before, one of An-O's loyal subordinates awaited them not as a friend, but as a controlled puppet bent on assassination. At the critical moment, Minvung intervened, blocking the fatal strike. Having just saved the souls taken by the hidden tomb, Minvung returned with news. Lena, though vanished, was safe. He revealed that Abbott controlled half of An-O's forces and was advancing toward Delsat. Minvung urged everyone to retreat to the city while he stayed behind to hold the line. On the way, they found Lena waiting, trapped by the barrier and unable to use magic for teleportation. The group needed to escape the Great Spirit Forest, but Lena was lost. Fortunately, a group of adorable little spirits, despite orders to prevent the false demon king's escape, were moved by Lena's plea and agreed to guide them. Once outside the barrier, An-O swiftly teleported everyone to Delsat. Arriving at the city gates, they spotted a group emerging. Instantly, An-O concealed them. The royal army, led by Elio, split into 2,000 to investigate suspicious figures outside the walls. Seeing An-O, Elio immediately knelt, and his forces now recognized An-O as the true false demon king, free from mental control. Mina unleashed a spell sowing hatred and rebellion against the mixed bloods among the purebloods, easily manipulating those unaware of An-O's identity. Chaos erupted within the city as purebloods rampaged, mercilessly slaughtering mixed bloods. To turn the tide, they needed to prove Albert was not the false demon king. At home, An-O's parents worried deeply but trusted his skill and survival. Meanwhile, Emily, transformed into a mixed blood by An-O, fled desperately from bloodline hunters. Despite her frantic escape, she was captured and drained of magic by former classmates. In a timely intervention, An-Eyu's mother distracted the pursuers, allowing Emily to escape, while his father engaged the attackers with sword in hand. An-Eyu's mother urged Emily to follow her, warning that staying meant a grim fate with the elders. Emily, bewildered by this unexpected kindness from the family she once sought to destroy, realized, saving a life is worth more than building 7 towers. Her gratitude was silent but profound. Yet, the mixed bloods were no match for the brainwashed purebloods, who soon inflicted grave injuries. Just when hope seemed lost, Un-O appeared from the shadows. These royal bloodlines, stubborn and untrainable, had crossed a line touch his family, and death is their only destiny. They rushed toward Emily, urging her to follow them quickly, lest she remain behind and face a grim fate. Standing before the person he once aimed to kill, and now fights to save her life. Emily, bewildered by Anne's mother's intentions, struggles to comprehend the change. But the truth is simple. Saving one life outweighs the destruction of 7 towers. Anne's mother, magnanimous and free from past grudges, acts out of kindness and compassion. Yet chaos still looms around them. His bloodline was weak, unable to stand against the brainwashed purebloods. Soon, they inflicted grave injuries upon him, and just when it seemed like all hope was lost, En-Au appeared from the shadows. "If you lay a finger on my family, you'll find yourselves facing certain death." With a flick of his wrist, he bound them in magical chains, lifting them into the air, silencing any further words. With a mere snap of his fingers, he detonated them like fireworks against the night sky. Once safe, his mother felt an overwhelming joy to see her son return unharmed. To everyone's surprise, she even took Emily out for a little treat. The father, witnessing his son bring home a horde of concubines, couldn't help but shed tears of pride. His son had truly grown up. There was nothing left for him to teach his precious boy. Previously, En-Au had created a basement for the Jiaxia to live in, which now served as a pathway for everyone to enter the underground town. He asked the girls from the United Party to stay and take care of their parents, while he and the others descended into the basement, quickly reaching the underground town. En-Au had fashioned the Jiaxia here to live and work just like those above ground. Truly, nothing was impossible for him. They arrived at the magic circle within the Demon Lord's castle, fully prepared for battle, and all began activating the spell, transporting them to Deles. As they reached the middle of the floor, En-Au spots a red-haired girl leading Annie, Historia, and a patrol unit nearby. As they pass where En-Au hides, he notices Annie's badge engraved with a secret mark, proof she remains untainted, still free. He signals Annie, silently urging her to divert the red-haired girl's attention. Annie and Historia manage to stay behind successfully, and Au and the others reveal themselves from invisibility. They share the grim true things are dire. The royal family members have been brainwashed by the great spirit Avis. The misfit students are imprisoned, drained to fuel the purebloods' magic. Now, En-Au faces 2 critical tasks. First, he must uncover the exact whereabouts of Albert and the fallen angel. Historia immediately volunteers for this mission. Second, he must investigate the treasure chest. Using supreme time magic, En-Au plans to delve into why the great spirit Leno died 2,000 years ago. There's a chance the great spirit's body was taken over. He also needs to learn the truth about Mila's origins and why his strongest right hand, once a faithful ally, has become the great spirit Avis, now his adversary. Misa speculates that Shin might be protecting Mila, born half from the whispers of Avis's power. If the legend of Avis disappears, if he truly vanishes, Mila could fall victim to a spirit sickness that's impossible to cure. All signs point to her death as the root of everything. To verify this, En-Au must travel 2,500 years back in time and witness the truth. To do this, they must keep the royal family as far away as possible. Annie suggests En-Au use magic to strike his own body, a dangerous request. But seeing Annie's determination, En-Au agrees. He unleashes a painful spell on her, creating a loud disturbance. Predictably, the purple-haired woman returns immediately. At this moment, Historia stays behind to distract the red-haired woman, falsely claiming En-Au's group fled upstairs and urging her to give chase. Alone, Annie pleads with En-Au to save their imprisoned comrades and friends. En-Au nods solemnly, promising Annie he will not abandon them. The team moves forward to the treasure chest. Activating the Time God's magic array, they journey back 2,000 years ago, when En-Au entrusted the spirit Leno to Shin's protection. En-Au must reincarnate to save the world. He reminds everyone to tread carefully. Even the smallest misstep could rewrite history. His presence here, right now, is already a dangerous ripple in the timeline. Thanks to Lai's shift in perspective, they all concealed themselves and slipped into the bustling town. Today, the streets were alive with celebration, every household rejoicing the heroic cannon's glorious victory over the Demon King. Yet, standing amidst the lively crowd, En-Au felt no regret for the sacrifices made. Just then, the group noticed Shin and Lin Leno wandering nearby. To avoid human discovery, Shin forced Leno to wear a mask to hide her true identity as a demon, and Ao never expected that on their journey, these two would grow so close. The group trailed them to the spirit forest, where the little spirits, startled by Leno's presence, urgently warned that the spirit kin might be on the brink of extinction. Around them, fierce divine beasts began to emerge, eyeing an attack. Seeing this, Shin drew his sword in a flash, slashing them down where they stood. Suddenly, Us suggested from afar that Zaza secretly help Shin eliminate the wolves. If Zaza didn't know how, he could teach her. But just standing so close made Zaza's heart flutter wildly. With that kind of tension, how could they even fight properly? Nervousness betrayed Zaza's presence, and Leno quickly caught on. Us believed that manifesting himself would ease their information gathering. To avoid suspicion, Shin transformed into an irresistibly cute little boy, the perfect disguise. Behind them, the others also revealed themselves, following an Ao. An Ao claimed their group was a traveling circus passing through and urged Zaza to put on a little show for Leno. Surprisingly, Zaza's antics brought genuine smiles to Leno's face, breaking down her guard and allowing the group to befriend them. An Ao began probing about Lena's identity, but Leno denied ever meeting her, offering no clues. Then Leno beckoned an Ao aside and revealed that Lena was actually the elusive Athen Folan. She kept this secret to protect Lena. If Athen Folan's true identity was known, she would be doomed. Leno granted Lena refuge in the forest to regain her memories. Suddenly, a ferocious divine beast charged at the group. Shin swiftly blocked its fangs, but without weapons from the past, he couldn't draw his sword. An Ao urgently asked Shin to lend his sword. Though hesitant, Shin obeyed Leno's command and handed it over. With a single strike, Shin felled the beast. Unexpectedly, a stranger and his master, wielding the same sword, appeared. Seeing Shin's potential, the stranger offered to let him keep the sword while in the forest, on the condition that Shin repay him later with a worthy duel. Meanwhile, Leno wondered how these monsters breached the forest's barrier. Everyone deduced the beasts were brought by the celestial god's offspring from a previous encounter with Leno's pregnancy. Leno feared the celestial god's minions still lurked within. Sensing her worry, Shin reassured her gently, promising he wouldn't leave until she was safe. His words warmed Leno's heart. Suddenly, the spirits rushed in with grave news. Leno's grandmother was dying. Transforming into an ancient tree, Leno hurried to her side. Grandmother, the war spirit guardian, comforted her granddaughter. Ironically, though born to grant wisdom to spirits in wartime, she spread rumors to help demons coexist peacefully with spirits. As her time neared, she urged Leno that someday she too must choose whether to protect tradition or defy it for a greater cause and to always follow her heart. Before departing, she gifted them each a leaf containing combat knowledge, then passed away peacefully. Watching her go, Leno felt a deep pain, but held back tears. She knew tears would birth new spirits, and life born from sorrow was not what she wished. Following Leno, the group arrived at the education tree, newly enlisted and non-violent, a safe haven. An Ao expressed a desire to stay a while, warmly welcomed by Leno. While Leno and Shin stepped out, an Ao asked Misa and Lei to watch over them, as he needed to verify some information. Meanwhile, an Ao and Jesse visited the school's archives. He sought a torn page containing secrets about Athen Folan from a past study session. The page was irreparable now, but an Ao hoped that in this timeline it remained intact. He enlisted Bianca and Jake's help to expedite the search. Elsewhere, during a stroll with Shin, Leno asked what he planned after completing his mission. Without hesitation, Shin said life without a master was meaningless. She must reincarnate alongside one. Leno accepted his goal but sighed, wishing the celestial god's beasts lingered longer so she could spend more time with Shin. Soon, they passed through a secret invisible door to the seven-coloured flower hill. Leno led him to the tears flower, born from her own tears. If it continued to absorb tears without wilting, spirits could be born from legends and myths. She poured love into watering it to keep it alive. Suddenly, she urged Shin to try watering. He needed more interaction with living things. Shin reluctantly obeyed orders, but his cold, emotionless nature caused the flowers to wither. Leno realized he was like a spirit sword who forgot how to love. Just as they shared a rare moment of joy, news arrived that the scholar King Dumai was approaching, intending to offer them the location of the celestial god's offspring. The celestial god had sought him yesterday to plan using Leno as a vessel to bear his child, aiming to destroy the tyrannical demon king. An Ao, hearing the scholar king's name, revealed he had agreed to the celestial god's scheme. An Ao sought to find the torn page containing information about the love of Flan. Previously, while rehearsing here with his brother, he discovered that page torn and irreparable. He believed that at this moment it was likely the page was still intact, containing the information about Flan's love. He requested Bianca and the Giasia to assist him swiftly. Meanwhile, while strolling with Shin, Leno asked him what he would do after completing his mission of protection. Without a second thought, he replied, "A life without a master is too dull for me, so I must reincarnate under a master." Leno had no objections to Shin's purpose, but she sighed, wishing the celestial beasts of the Heavenly Father could stay longer, so she could be by Shin's side a bit more. Shortly after, the two stepped through a hidden, invisible door to a hill of 7 coloured flowers. Leno led him to the Lei Hua, born from her tears. If it continued to absorb those tears without withering, it might achieve spirit form as rumoured in legends. Leno poured her love into each watering to prevent them from wilting. Suddenly, she wanted to ask him to try watering them, sensing he needed to interact more with the creatures. At first, Shin was reluctant, but since it was an order, he complied. However, being cold and unfeeling, he had no idea what love was, causing the flowers to wilt even more. At that moment, Leno realized he was like a spirit who had forgotten how to love. As they enjoyed each other's company, they received a notification that the student king Edamai was seeking him, intending to provide their locations for the Heavenly Father's daughter. Just yesterday, the Heavenly Father sought him out to discuss a plan to use Leno as a vessel to bear his child, aiming to eliminate the tyrannical demon lord Enao. Hearing the name of the student king, Enao admitted he had agreed with the Heavenly Father. Without hesitation, he drew his sword, ready to strike him down. Despite just being cut, Edamai showed no signs of injury, laughing maniacally. He declared that the tyrannical demon lord had one weakness: she had no worthy enemies. Thus, he needed a formidable opponent to grow stronger, and the child of that god would be a fitting rival 2,000 years from now. From afar, Enao found the Heavenly Father's words perplexing. He offered no explanations since Edamai had suffered a brain injury, leaving him somewhat dazed. He and Leno proceeded to the location of the Heavenly Father's daughter. However, for her to appear, a condition was required. He produced countless hourglasses and turned them upside down, letting the sand flow down. At that moment, he felt endless pain in his chest, as Adomai stated that he was the vessel for the god's child, and just needed to pretend to kill her for the daughter to surely appear to save her vessel. With determination to protect Leno at all costs, Shin could not let him harm her. He lunged forward, shattering the hourglasses. Seizing the moment, he thrust his sword straight into Idamai's chest, causing rays of light to burst forth from above. He revealed that he had lent his body to the Heavenly Father after being struck by Enao. Now, it was time for the daughter to appear. As she took over Idamai's body, he, with unwavering determination to protect Leno, Sin charges forward, shattering the hourglasses. Seizing the moment, he plunges his sword deep into Esdomai's chest. Suddenly, beams of light burst from above, and Esdomai reveals he lent his body to the Heavenly Assistant God after being possessed by an Oz. Now, it's time for the Heavenly Assistant God to manifest. Just as Sin claims full control of Esdomai's body, he summons a pack of divine wolf beasts. But Sin effortlessly cuts through them with simple sword strikes. He steps boldly before the Heavenly Assistant God, sword poised. Yet, the Heavenly Assistant God shows no fear. He accuses Sin's origin not from the demon clan, but born from an ancient demonic sword, forged by U to create a god-slaying weapon. Sin's destiny was to fight gods, and no matter how much he resists, he cannot deny that his heart is nothing but a sword. He has no true heart or knowledge of love. Suddenly, Leno launches a beam of light at the Heavenly Assistant God, crying out that despite Sin's lack of a heart, he is warm and far kinder than the old man by 1,000-fold. The Heavenly Assistant God refuses to relent, offering Sin a heart that knows love on the condition that he and Leno conceive the god's child. Sin, burning with anger, beheads him and declares he does not need such love. To him, being a sword to serve his master is enough. But Leno refuses to accept this. She knows Sin secretly yearns for a warm human heart. She rushes forward, grasping Sin's hand, promising to teach him how to love. Today, Enu consults Leno about some questions regarding the spirits. He wonders if changing a spirit's origin legend would cause them to reincarnate. Leno denies this, explaining that altering legends only shortens their lifespan. When the legend fades completely, so do they, unable to reincarnate like humans or demons. For example, the mother spirit was born from a legend. If a curse removes her true nature as a spirit mother, her lifespan diminishes, and she slowly fades away as the legend weakens. Meanwhile, Sin and Lai duel fiercely, but Leno arrives, calling Sin to go to the flower field. When he refuses, she feels unfairly sidelined, seeing Sin always prioritize Lai over her to restore the young couple's harmony. With her golden touch in matchmaking, Leno teaches Lai how to speak more gently to girls, making words sweeter to the ear. Surprisingly, when Sin follows Lai's advice, Leno's mood brightens instantly. She even agrees to wait for Sin to finish his duel before heading to the flower field. Brothers and sisters, a little kindness goes a long way with the ladies. Returning to the fight, Sin notices Lai's swordsmanship improving rapidly, absorbing Sin's techniques every match to widen his horizons, began to teach Shin how to speak in a way that would flatter women. To his surprise, when Shin followed Lei's advice, Leno joyfully returned to her cheerful self. In fact, she agreed to wait for him to finish his duel before joining him. You know, the best approach is to speak gently. Girls will listen, he thought. Returning to the battle, Shin noticed Lei's swordsmanship had improved tremendously. Each time they sparred, Lei absorbed Shin's techniques, broadening his perspective. In the final move, Shin unleashed all his magic power, striking towards Lei. At first glance, it seemed Lei could withstand the blow, but in reality, he had been gravely injured. Shin had used his invisible sword to strike a moment in the past, meaning Lei had already been cut down by his blow. This was a technique Shin had learned from his brother. After their twin battle, Lei and Leno walked among the flowers, as they had done countless times before. Yet, like every time, the blossoms continued to wilt. Nevertheless, Leno showed no anger, for she knew Shin was doing his utmost to bring love to these beautiful flowers. She believed that sooner or later he would surely find love for himself. Meanwhile, Enao, upon hearing the news from the little spirit boy about the beheaded Heavenly Father, set off with Misa to investigate. They intended to visit the center of the demon city, seeking the great creator Militia to inquire further, as she was the omniscient saint who had also helped him create the walls for that world. Upon reaching the demon lord's castle gates, Eno observed his former subordinates viciously attacking a boy. He had previously released those humans, yet for some reason, this child returned to seek him. The white-haired subordinate dragged the boy to the square, claiming revenge for the demon lord who had been slain by humans, viciously beating the child. Eno initially intended to refrain from interfering, as it could disrupt history. However, unable to let his subordinates continue their senseless slaughter, he stepped in to save the boy. The white-haired subordinate questioned, "If Eno is a demon, why help humans, those who have killed countless of our kind in the past, including his own son?" Eno explained, "If your son was killed by this boy, I would not interfere with your quest for revenge. However, as the demon lord, I will not allow my subordinates to brutally murder innocent people. If we do that, are they not just like those cold-blooded humans?" The white-haired one, anger ignited, prepared to strike down the one known as Anu. But how could these mere shrimp hope to challenge such a revered king? Anu activated his destruction eye, obliterating the white-haired one's attack. As the devastating gaze fell upon him, the white-haired one realized his fate. He knelt, overwhelmed by a flood of emotion. Tears of joy streamed down his face at the sight of his king still alive. Anu, with a heart full of compassion, urged everyone to lift their heads high and delivered the message of the tyrant demon king. They would meet again in 2.5 years. With gentle care, Anu picked up the young human boy named Israel, bringing him to the place where the destruction sword rested, allowing him a moment of peace. Nuzaroa was activated, a weapon that should not exist in the present. If he drew it now, time itself would unravel, and the Replong would face its end. But if the destruction sword were to appear in the past, it would be a different story. With Venus in his possession, he could alter the course of history. At that moment, Israel awakened, and upon seeing Anu transform back, he rushed forward, embracing him tightly, filled with the realization that Anu had traversed time from 2.5 years later. Israel, far from being frightened, was eager to assist Anu. He confessed that he should have perished at the hands of the white-haired one. Yet, he wished to help Anu be reborn, so the god of time wouldn't detect this miraculous twist of fate. Anu wanted him to spread the word about the tyrant demon king upon his rebirth in 2.5 years, ensuring that his memories remained untouched by Avos's mind control. Thus the curse would safely reach the future. With a heartfelt promise, Israel vowed to fulfill the mission entrusted to him. As Anu placed the delicate destruction sword into his hands, the rebirth process began instantly. Anu felt the darkness of the era, 2,000 years later, slowly dissipating. Perhaps a world of peace wasn't fully restored yet, but it was a far cry from the chaos it once was. He visited the resting place of his fallen comrades, those valiant warriors who fought for his vision of peace, their bodies shattered in battle. Anu expressed his gratitude for every brave soul, for they were the foundation of the peaceful world they had today. Meanwhile, on the other side, the warrior king was strategizing with Ozma about using Cannon to impersonate the false demon king Avis. The plan was to spread rumors about this false king, to sacrifice him in place of Anu in 2.5 years. In the Great Spirit Forest, Cannon discussed his intentions to masquerade as the tyrant demon king. He sought to enlist the help of Shin, believing that having a reliable ally by his side would bolster his credibility, as humans were stirring with plans to eliminate Anu in 2.5 years. Only by having Cannon impersonate the tyrant could they protect Anu. However, Shin quickly drew his sword, pointing it at Cannon, unwilling to accept a false demon king under his command. Yet, despite his refusal, Shin would not obstruct Cannon's plans. for he was soon to be reborn. Today, the last divine beast had been completely eradicated, and the celestial god was in a state of limbo, no longer a threat to Leno. With that, Shin turned to leave, his dismissive attitude surprising Kanon, who had prepared for a fierce confrontation. This was the first time Kanon saw Shin devoid of his usual fierce aura. Leno affirmed that the budding love must have softened Shin's heart. Upon hearing that Leno had taught Shin the ways of love, Kanon felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. What surprised him even more was that he never knew that the Great Spirit Mother knew how to love someone. Hearing those words from Leno made her face flush as red as a tomato. It was as if she had suddenly awakened to something profound. Leno rushed over to confirm, "I've loved you all along. I've always felt something different when I was with you. At first I didn't know what it was, but now I realize I truly love you." However, this revelation couldn't change his decision to undergo reincarnation. Even though he couldn't stay, he felt his empty heart slowly being filled by her presence. Despite the heartache of not being able to be with the one he loved, Leno knew that his feelings over the years for the ruthless Demon King could never be compared to what she offered. Seeing the disappointment and sadness in Leno's eyes, he, the hero, found himself unable to resist her charm. He softened and promised to grant her one wish. Leno had only one desire, to marry him. Without hesitation, he knelt down and asked Leno how she envisioned their wedding ceremony. Thus, their wedding unfolded under the witness of everyone, with the sacred spear as a witness, as they vowed to never part from one another. The ceremony culminated in a sweet kiss that sealed their love. Once inside their room, he was immensely satisfied with the wedding. He thanked Leno for giving him a dream he thought he could never reach. He believed their wedding was complete, but suddenly, the urge to leave loomed over him, revealing that there was still one part left. What part, you ask? Only a fool like him wouldn't know that it referred to their wedding night. Leno felt a bit shy, so she simply requested he sleep beside her. However, before that, she wanted to talk a little more. Leno was curious about how he first met an U. That year, when he was born with this body, he sought out challengers to fight, but with such overwhelming strength, no one could stand as his worthy opponent until he encountered the ruthless Demon King Anu. Despite using countless sword techniques, he couldn't land a hit on the Demon King. When the Demon King hinted that if he wanted to join his team, he would certainly find a worthy opponent for him, he did not hesitate to accept, because he realized he longed for a powerful master. Now, Leno understood better that wanting to keep him all to herself was impossible. She selfishly decided just once she wanted to truly be a wife to him. That night, the two of them became one. A few days later, Leno often fainted. After the sacred spear checked, he discovered Leno was pregnant with a child that bore incredible magical power, surely a child of his and hers. Leno felt immense happiness because this was the embodiment of their love. She urged him to name the baby, and after a moment of thought, he confidently declared a son would be named Gord and a daughter would be named Thay. He began to express his desire to stay for her, but Leno quickly stopped him. She found contentment just having the child by her side. She couldn't be selfish and put him in a difficult position. Leno tore a piece of paper and handed it to him, containing a love code that would help them meet again easily 2,000 years later. He embraced Leno, promising to treasure it, and that he would definitely find her and their child in 2,000 years. But the heavens would not let them be. Just as he was about to reincarnate, the celestial father, now reduced to only a head, sought out Leno. He declared that their love and the child in her womb were merely part of a divine plan. In other words, that child was not theirs. It was a child of the gods borrowed from Leno and him to be created. Now, he wanted to force Leno's child to be born early, following a false legend of the ruthless Demon King to destroy an U. With no other choice, Leno had to teleport herself to 2,000 years later, intending to find a way to ensure her child's survival. At the same time, guided by the DD Sin, he rushed in to shatter the last remnants of the celestial father's head. But it was already too late. Leno could no longer hold on. He felt immense regret for leaving Leno behind. He grasped her hand tightly, promising to protect their child well, even if it meant going against his master and spreading rumors about the false Demon King. He vowed to safeguard their child at all costs. After all, Leno thanked him for letting her experience love before completely vanishing into the void, leaving him in despair, helplessly watching his wife depart right before his eyes. At that moment, everyone was transported to 2,000 years later, deeply moved by the tragedy of their past life, feeling sorrow for him and Leno. However, Anu urged everyone that now was not the time for grief. The tragedy was at its end. It was time for them to reclaim everything. Anu discovered that Avos threatened him, saying he would deal with the half-bloods, forcing Anu to come out. It seemed they had yet to use the extermination sword, thus resorting to such cowardly hostage tactics. Since they had to move to the Spirit King and Avos, he entrusted the mission of rescuing the white-robed students to the twin sisters, covering them with a magical cloak to help them infiltrate among the students without being detected. On the other side, Bulan was leading his subordinates to commence the massacre of half-bloods. This girl was originally chosen to be the opener for the slaughter ritual, but suddenly the pink-haired boy stepped up to volunteer as a substitute for her. Although he desperately wanted to intervene, he called out to Misa, urging her to be patient for a little while longer to see how things unfolded. And U led the remaining group to meet Historia, and according to their investigation, Abbott was in the Spirit King's ceremonial room. In the throne room, Anu asked her to take him to meet JCI and rescue the other students along with the twin sisters. Suddenly, the purple-haired girl who had previously discovered Anu's group ordered an attack. In a flash, Anu swiftly dispatched her with a single strike of his sword, buying them more time to dispel the magic controlling the others. Next, he instructed Lai to head to the ceremonial room while he would confront the Spirit King. Let's take a moment to assess the situation, and Ao led the survivors to meet Historia. According to investigations, Abbott was in the Spirit King's ritual chamber inside the throne room, and Ao asked her to lead them in a rescue mission for the other students and the Songsa sisters. Suddenly, the purple-haired woman from before spotted an Ao's group and ordered a swift attack. She was taken down instantly by one strike from an Ao's decisive blade. And Ao gave everyone orders to buy time and dispel the magic controlling their enemies. Next, he split the group. Lai was to head to the ritual chamber while an Ao would confront the Spirit King. Before pushing the door open, he told Kelina to wait outside and only reveal himself at the right moment. As an Ao entered, the Spirit King suddenly transformed into Avod, wearing Miller's borrowed form. Lai appeared beside EA's immediately, having predicted the ritual chamber was a mere trap to separate them. Despite being outplayed, Avod was confident. Convinced he held the grand scheme in his palm, he projected a magic arena, preparing to execute the hybrid. Even Albert recognized the danger looming as they braced to witness the ultimate showdown unfold. The brave, pink-haired student you saw moments ago is none other than Igarit reborn from 2,500 years ago with the aid of Enau. Avis threatened to execute Igaret on the spot. But just as the henchman prepared the execution, a twist shattered the tension. Instead of killing Igaret, the henchman declared himself Davila, a subordinate from 2,500 years ago, serving the Demon King. Sensing the shift, Ao ordered the 7 demon elders to swiftly eliminate the rebellious students. Yet Avis underestimated that among these rebellious students were Enar's loyal followers reborn and unbrainwashed. With momentum on their side, the students launched a relentless counterattack. Devira wielded a magical sword to fight alongside him against Bolan. The Song sisters didn't stand idle either. They unleashed the power of the Ice Lotus Ring and Demon Eyes, obliterating their foes and freezing 7 elders into massive ice blocks. A millennium passed in the Arctic. Though defeated, Avis wore a triumphant smile, had scattered the rebellious students across different locations. Even with Historia, Mianka, and Jaka arriving, it was too late. Not even Enau could save them, spread thin across 5 separate places. But remember, he has returned. The past had been altered, reshaping the entire narrative. Now, many of his followers were free from Albert's brainwashing. He commanded his forces to gather near Bien-Ka, as she could assist those unable to resist Abbott's mind control. With everything in place, they pushed forward, determined to strike down Avos. At that moment, Avos realized that Enu's return to the past had changed everything, but it was too late for her as she taunted him to strike her down with the divine spirit sword. However, as Lai and Enu charged, he was suddenly transported next to the Spirit King, a familiar figure. As the Spirit King lowered his mask, it was revealed that behind it was Sin, Eno's most trusted ally. Sin had betrayed him, but he vowed to kill Avos and rescue Mina. Throughout it all, Shin remained Eno's loyal right hand. If only Eno had known everything, Shin had one final request. For 2,000 years, he had traveled far and wide, hearing tales of Leno, of her goodness, and her never-fading smiles. For those 2 millennia, Shin had lived in torment, telling himself that if it weren't for his love, Leno would still be alive. To atone for his past mistakes, he was ready to turn his sword against Enu, silently vowing to protect Miller with the curse of the tyrannical demon lord. If Enu were here, Shin believed he could protect his daughter in his stead. He wished for death to be free. Yet Enu handed Shin the sword, urging him to take his own arm. However, even as Shin unleashed his most beloved technique, he couldn't land a blow on Enu. Enu realized that Shin couldn't strike him, not because of weakness, but because he was trying to become a demon. Enu refused to allow Shin to die, knowing that Miller yearned for her father no one else could take his place. Eno wished Shin to live and become a wonderful father to his daughter. In the most intense moment, Shin's blade still could not pierce Enau. Enau realized Shin's inability wasn't weakness. Shin was striving to become a true demon race. Refusing to let Shin fall, Eno begged him to live for. Miller always yearned for her father, and no one else could fill that role. Become the father she deserves, Eno urged. And in that moment, Shin was awakened. He recognized his Demon King master was not only stronger, but kinder than before. After 2,500 years apart, they reunited with the same unwavering bond in Ao, the revered master, and Shin, his steadfast right hand. Meanwhile, Ao and Shin resolved their misunderstandings. But on the other side, the ceremonial battlefield with Lai and Arab was just beginning. Lai knew only by defeating Miller, his beloved, could he return. With unwavering intent, he charged, sword gleaming with deadly resolve. Arab wasn't foolish, she stood firm, chanting a fiery incantation that conjured two blazing fireballs aimed straight at him. But Lai was no ordinary Herethes. Fireballs were mere sparks to him. With a single slash, his sword tore through steel and fire alike, shattering the flames like New Year's fireworks lighting the night sky. After this first strike, Lai wasted no time, rushing into the second phase of battle. But Abris was no pushover. She conjured lightning to trap Lai midair, paralyzing his movements. Amidst this chaos, Avid's fractured soul whispered for Lai to give up to avoid becoming another casualty. Yet, Lai knew he had to win. He was the bearer of false rumors, the one trying to die for the Demon King's sake. Now, he understood this approach bore no fruit, and it was from this curse that Avis was born. The only way forward was clear. Lai affirmed that Avos did not deserve to exist. Hearing this, Avos didn't feel anger. Instead, she claimed that if she had never been born, then Mila wouldn't exist either. Avos questioned him. Wasn't he secretly dating Mila? If Lai played his cards right and joined her side, she would help him escape from this physical agony. But Lai was resolute. He would remain loyal to Mila, no matter the cost. Avos, undeterred, insisted that Lai had feelings for her. As she spoke, a thick veil of black smoke began to envelop Lai's vision. Yet, he felt no fear. He countered that his cherished feelings were solely for the soul of Mila, residing within that body. Just then, the matching necklace he had gifted Mila glowed brightly, freeing Lai from Avos's grasp with ease. Indeed, that was proof that Mila could sense everything happening and was fighting alongside him from within. The knowledge that his beloved was waiting for him to save her fueled Lai's determination, and he launched a relentless attack against Abris. Swiftly dodging his blows, she struck back, breaking yet another core of his magic that she had implanted in him. The curse began to take effect, causing Lai immense pain as he faced the triumphant grin of Abris. But Lai refused to give up. Today he was determined to sever her life and bring Mila back. He shouted, "Mila, lend me your strength." Empowered by love, Lai's strength surged forth, transforming him into a holy warrior, radiating immense power and striking straight at the barrier Abris had conjured. However, just as Lai was about to break through that barrier, the divine being Abris reappeared, commanding the sword to stop. The immense power that Lai had summoned was instantly rendered useless, reduced to scrap by her command. Lai found himself once again at a disadvantage, unable to escape the magical control. Even the mana in the sword blessed by the gods was subject to her will. That's why Abris could manipulate its power, confirming that everything was unfolding according to their plan. The cause Lai had shared with the impostors were destroyed, and his fate was drawing near. Knowing Lai was stubborn and refused to return to his normal self, Abris decided to eliminate him completely. Yet, the author had no intention of allowing our hero to perish so easily. Just as she prepared to deliver the final blow, to the surprise of everyone, Lai had been hiding all this time, and suddenly emerged to attack Abris from behind. Avos, too, approached the divine being, declaring that this day would be the anniversary of his demise. The audacity of the divine being was astonishing. He hadn't even seen the grave and still acted arrogantly. He boasted about his divine powers, asserting that he was an immortal entity devoid of emotion. Avos knew that killing him would disrupt the balance of the world. He challenged Avos, confident that he could not be slain, mocking his lack of understanding. Avos boldly stated that he would not allow the divine being to live, urging him to stop talking nonsense. The divine being, angered by the insult, vowed to show his true power. With that, he unleashed a transformation spell, becoming a divine figure with wings. To kill a god meant chaos would ensue, and he doubted Avos would be foolish enough to wager the lives of humanity. Let's see how the Demon King will deal with you, you arrogant deity. But hold on, in just about 2 seconds you aren't worthy of the Demon King's attention. Today, Avos decided to take full control of this divine pawn, slowly drawing his sacred sword, as he reflected on the power granted to him by his wife's sacrifice. The vengeance for his lost love had been awaited for 1,000 years. Today, under the name of the god-slaying sword, he was determined to repay the pain inflicted long ago upon his beloved. The divine being unleashed a stream of golden light aimed directly at Shin, taunting him, convinced that he would never be able to strike a god, even if he was a fearsome swordsman. Ignoring the taunts, Shin charged forward, plunging his sword into the wretched god's chest. But as expected, just like he had boasted, that single strike had no effect. The divine being counterattacked, activating a devastating spell that ensnared Shin in divine flames, waiting until he was too exhausted to retaliate. Then he revealed the divine sword, empowered by the sacrifice of Avos, doubled in potency. He intended to awaken the god of destruction, allowing Avos to stand helplessly as this world faded into oblivion. He began casting a spell to summon the son of annihilation, casting the entire empire into an endless night. Meanwhile, the divine being transported Avos to another realm to eliminate him. As he saw Avos approaching with a fierce intent, he continued to recite the age-old mantra, "I am a god. If you kill me, the world will witness the order of the divine." In that fleeting moment, the divine being laughed, revealing his fear of death. Humiliated by Avos, he was determined to punish him fittingly. But just like the earlier encounter with Abras, Avos made a choice. The divine sword slashed down toward Shin's chest, but it was stopped by the letter Leno had once given him. Shin recalled the promise of the love code helping souls find each other more easily. As he reached to retrieve it, the celestial betrayer pierced his hand with the sword. At that moment, Lena, nearby, sensed something stirring. Just as the god prepared a fatal blow, a miracle unfolded. Lena instantly teleported Shin to her side. Her memories flooded back. Her husband was the Devil King's right hand. She remembered clearly. Transform Great Spirit Leno. After 2,000 years of absence, Leno returned, stronger than ever. "I'm sorry, Shin, for making you wait so long. Now that you're back, united as husband and wife, we can move mountains," Leno declared. "Let's reclaim our honor and prove Miller is no god's spawn or anything of the sort. She's the blossom of our love." Empowered by this, Shin launched a fierce counterattack, shattering countless assaults from the Celestial. Meanwhile, Leno stood firm, chanting prayers to summon the beloved spirit. Instantly, the spirits appeared, aiding Leno's assault against the god. Furious, the Celestial tried to burn them with divine fire, but the flames only made the spirits stronger. One spirit gifted Leno a golden bow, which she aimed straight at the Celestial betrayer, but it barely fazed him. Seeing the spirits falter, Leno's worry grew, ready to leap to their defense. Suddenly, a voice stopped her. A radiant light struck down, and the 1,000-year ancient tree emerged. Leno was moved. Her grandmother, a fellow hybrid, had returned, borrowing Fran's power to come back. She had urgent words for her beloved granddaughter. Now, Leno had to trust her heart's guidance. The grandmother and spirits rallied behind her, bolstering her strength. Summoning an army of elemental spirits, Leno transferred all her magic to Shin. Embracing this immense power from the spirit mother, Shin swung his sword, slicing clean through the Celestial's divine wings. While the god called forth illusions and fire to distract him, Shin seized the moment, striking a second blow that pierced the god's essence. Yet, the god stubbornly clung to his immortality, mocking Shin's attacks. Undeterred, Shin unleashed the third secret of the God-Slayer sword, Void Slash, swiftly cleaving the Celestial's core in two. Still defiant, the god claimed his essence was eternal. "Open your eyes," Shin challenged, "and witness your imminent death." He struck again, dividing the essence into 4 pieces. Not stopping there, Shin accelerated his assault, shattering the god's essence into thousands of fragments. The celestial betrayer had no way left to save himself. The final blow was at hand. Shin summoned Yama, his trusted sword, delivering a hexagonal slash that sealed the god's fate, banishing him from this realm. Meanwhile, Lena and Alvard were still locked in battle. Sword met sword, tension tightening like a drawn bowstring. But with the God-Slayer sword's power drained by the celestial betrayer, Alvard quickly lost ground. Another fragment of his essence was crushed by Avos. Now, only one fragment remained. Avos urged him to surrender, pleading that only by embracing her heart was there hope. But he stood firm. 1 is 1, 2 is 2. The heart belongs solely to you, my beloved Miller. Time was running out. Life had to bring Miller back before it was too late. Raising his sword, he unleashed the first secret technique taught by Miller herself, the Divine Spirit Sword. A barrage of blue beams streaked out, accompanied by thunderous lightning bolts, striking Avos with a mighty quake. Fueled by the fierce power of love, the 2 fragments of essence separated, and Lai succeeded in saving his beloved Miller. He pointed the Divine Spirit Sword at Avos, declaring her defeat. With only half her essence left, survival was impossible. Yet Avos warned that if she vanished, so would Miller, bound as they were, destined to face each other. Miller spoke up, refuting Avos. "I was born to live for the Devil King's peace, alongside friends, with loving parents waiting, and one who truly loves me, Lai. I am not, like Hera, cruel, evil soul who defies all morality and is doomed to eternal loneliness." She asserted she was never one with Avos. Hearing this, Avos faltered. Seizing the moment, she launched a blazing red orb toward Miller. But Lai stepped forward, slicing it in 2 and striking Avos, who vanished though not defeated so easily. This time, her incarnation wielded the Sword of Annihilation. As Lai attacked, Avos countered instantly, felling him with the deadly blade. Lai lay helpless, as Avos gloated, demanding he watch his beloved disappear utterly. Just as she was about to strike Miller, Shin and Leno arrived in the nick of time, rescuing her and granting another chance at life. Seems you forgot the Devil King's power is still here, Shin taunted. Our opponents have been talking too much. It's time to show real strength, Avos snarled. Let me show you the destructive power of the Devil King. The ruthless primordial lord of the demon realm stood unshaken before Lai and Avos. Holding the sword of annihilation, she vowed to kill Shin. But to the Devil King, that sword was mere scrap, needed no weapon to send her to the afterlife. Come on, celestial betrayer. Face me in a real fight. With that, the two plunged into battle. The opening move unleashed a fiery inferno cannon, a clear display of their equal strength. Lightning storms followed, crashing toward Shin, who raised his hand to shatter the attack. The third spell of Hazao, the Inferno Supreme Magic Array, lives up to its name. Streams of magic weave together, forming a dense web of deadly energy that encircles our hero. Just as he unleashes the Samluan technique to shatter the array, Abbott strikes with a sneaky, unexpected attack. But our guy, he's wearing those old-school flip-flops, no matter how many godlike transformations he pulls. Not even a single hit lands. Abbott exploits the Lee Diet sword to create the Venezuelan array, intending to bury him alive. As our hero teeters on the brink of being buried up to his neck, his opponent grins, drunk on the thought of certain victory. But then, like a hand slicing through thick fog, a strike pierces the empty space in his chest, the very source of his life force. Surprise! The old witch underestimated him and, well, that's a fatal mistake. Seeing an owl appear before her eyes, she stunned. Her deadly array forged by the Lediot sword couldn't trap him. But wait, the shock isn't over yet. At the climax, an owl wastes no time. He crushes the five-strike pomelo, or rather, he shatters the core of her power, leaving her writhing in agony. Her chest burns with unbearable pain. Her life force shattered. She knows her time is short. Declaring herself a child of the gods, on a divine mission to slay the brutal demon king, she vows to drag him down into the grave with her. Summoning the last of her strength, she breaks the seal, imprisoning the heavenly Deputia god who lives as long as a dog and releases him. The moment this immortal scoundrel sees the light, his arrogant spirit flares higher than ever, undiminished by death. With the heavenly deputy reborn, he wastes no time. His mind locked on annihilation, he plunges the Lediot sword into his own chest, offering his fading body as a vessel for power. Abbott fuels him with strength until the god bursts with magic, shaking the earth with a force mightier than a Japanese earthquake. Outside, everyone feels the violent tremors but remains clueless about the cataclysm unfolding inside. Long ago, the brutal demon king slew the god of destruction, Armeni, and transformed her into the Fortress Dells. Her power, the essence of annihilation, was renamed the Lediot sword. The heavenly deputy asserts that the god's law is absolute destruction will return as ordained. Thanks to Abbott's sacrifice, his power doubles. Now, armed with this strength, he aims to awaken the god of destruction. Thanks to Abbott's sacrifice, Lai's power doubled. With this newfound strength, he awakened the god of destruction. But Avid could only watch helplessly as the world began to vanish. Using dark magic, Lai summoned the Sun of Annihilation, plunging the Empire into endless darkness. At the same time, the Celestial Lord whisked En-Ao away to another realm, intent on destroying him. En-O appeared before the Celestial Lord, sword blazing with deadly intent. The Lord repeated his eternal claim, "I am a god, kill me, and you disrupt the divine order." Yet, in the first heartbeat, the Celestial Lord left a sign of fear for his own life. Humiliated by En-Ao, the Lord burned with rage, ready to punish him. But En-Ao, like Avis before him, seized the void in the Lord's chest. "If you truly are immortal," En-O declared, "I will transfer all your power to the undead king whether you consent or not." The Lord insisted he had no heart, so En-Ao gave him only a beating heart to feel what it meant to live with emotions. Nothing stings more than carrying the hatred you despise. Furious and powerless, the Celestial Lord was subdued. En-O raised his hand, casting the ultimate spell to implant a heart filled with emotions into the Lord's chest. The Celestial Lord could only scream in fury before being reincarnated elsewhere. As he vanished, darkness receded. The source of the Lord's torment, no longer the undead King Edamai, was returned to his true form. He rejoiced that En-Ao had grown strong enough to defeat a god. But as this storm passed, another tragedy struck. The borrowing of the Ice Spirit's body was reversed, leaving Leno with little time. Mother and child had just reunited, so many unsaid words hung heavy in the air. Yet fate is merciless. At the very moment of disappearance, everything was about to change forever. Leno embraced his daughter Milan one last time, pouring out a mother's boundless love. Witnessing a reunion so long awaited now torn apart, Milan's anguished cries pierced the air, pleading, "Please, Mom, don't go." But fate was merciless. Her mother could stay no longer. With a heavy heart, she approached her beloved husband for a final farewell. Holding hands, they shared gratitude and tears in those fleeting moments before parting forever. Beside them, Milan's grief was a tempest, haunted by the thought she should never have been born if not for her. At that very moment, an owl appeared to calm her storm, assuring, Leno is not gone yet. But first he must save Milan. Torn apart by their shared fate, Milan's life waned with each passing breath. Following an O's command, Lei was ordered to wield the spirit sword and end Milan's suffering. Confusion rippled through the onlookers. An owl wished to explain, but time was a thief. Trust in me and the Dark Lord's will, he urged with unyielding faith. Both accepted, surrendering to his plan. Chanting Balashi, an owl summoned a nameless speller circle of magic forged with Lei's aid. Without hesitation, Lei struck down his beloved Milan. Good, just in time, an owl whispered. When you have time, I'll explain everything. If Avos was destroyed and Milan could not survive separated, then merging them into a new spirit sharing her name was the only path. Lei's astonishment was palpable. Spirit beings were not meant to reincarnate. The rumors and legends that clashed with Avos's origin only shortened her lifespan, didn't they? An owl sensed Lei's worries and soothed him. Calm yourself. I've already planned for this. If the legend persists, the Dark Lord will be reborn, defeated once more, and reincarnated this time not as a half-spirit, but as a complete spirit named Milan. This new truth, spread by I-Guess, had woven itself between humans and demons alike. Particularly, the demon clan and half-demons reincarnate from parents, while spirits arise naturally or from the legendary flower Lei. As an O finished, he cast magic upon the Lei flower. Leno, who had split into 2.5 before as a great spirit, defied his own legend by giving birth to a demon, but under this new tale, he had become a spirit. Death was no longer his destiny. Instantly, Leno manifested beside Milan, both safe and sound. True to his fearsome title, the Dark Lord now wielded divine power, the impossible now made real. After 2.5 years apart, the family was whole once more. The next day, an owl, in his guise as the fierce Dark Lord, stepped forth to declare to the demon realm, 2.5 years of war with humanity has drained us enough. Today marks the end of brutal conflicts. The reincarnated hero Canon, the great spirit Lano, and the spirit Avasol stood as proof of a new alliance between demons and spirits. The Dark Lord's child, reborn anew as Milan, was here to seal this pact. Representatives from all realms gathered, their old grudges dissolved. The hands that once fought would now reach out in friendship across the demon lands. Hear my decree, an owl proclaimed. From this day forward, equality reigns, pure blood or mixed. All are children of the demon clan, united in the pursuit of freedom, equality, and happiness. As applause echoed, hope blossomed like never before. The unification faction's maidens began their hymn, honoring the revered Dark Lord of the demon clan. In this new dawn, good had triumphed over evil, and peace had returned to a world-long yearning for harmony. No more sacrifices, no more lossily joyous reunions and families restored. A world painted with kindness, freedom, equality, and boundless happiness. All of this was thanks to the steadfast hero, and Orthi, immortal progenitor of the demon realm, whose legend will forever live in the hearts of all. The eternal flame of hope and unity burns bright, reminding us that even in the darkest nights, the smallest light can guide the way. If you've ever felt powerless like these characters, take a